Live from Kilimanjaro Studio, this is the OneMic Show, the only show that discusses serious things in a funny way and funny things in a serious way.
All right. Karibuni tena to the OneMic Show. Karibuni, welcome to everyone, na ni furaha kujiunga nanyi wapenzi wasikilizaji, tukiwa tumekuandalia taarifa za kusisimua, mziki wa kata viungo na kindumbwe cha siasa au politics ukipenda. We are streaming live on Facebook from Kilimanjaro Studios outside Washington, D.C. And we'll shortly be going live on YouTube, so please call in all your YouTube friends. Now, please remember to subscribe to both our YouTube and Facebook pages at The OneMic Show, and also follow us on Instagram, and we're now also on TikTok. We're going to be taking live calls tonight at 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Again, you want to write down that number, 202-683-4570, then press *5 to speak. Now, tonight we'll ask whether the American dream still exists for African immigrants, or if we're just surviving in a system that's stacked against us. We'll talk about the rising cost of living, why wages aren't keeping up, and the silent wave of deportation breaking families apart. We'll also question whether it's time to look beyond the U.S. to other countries, and if the hustle we've embraced is sustainable for our kids growing up here in the U.S. So start dropping your comments below and tell us where you're tuned in from. Na bila kusahau, tunapokea mziki toka DJ wetu machachari, mleta habari, DJ 𝒔𝒊𝒄𝒂𝒏, na tunadunda kule viwanjani na 𝒔𝒊𝒅𝒂𝒏 nambari 7 mgongoni, akituletea habari za michezo. Na moja kwa moja toka Kilimanjaro Studios ni mimi mtangazaji na mwanahabari wako mpendwa Ali Badawi. Wengi wananiita mteule na wengine mniite mjukuu wa Masai, because I'm Kenyan by blood, American by design, Masai by choice. Sichagui, sikagui, na sibagui. Karibuni.
Now, let's talk politics.
Now, this is how we're going to be diving into whether the American dream is still real for African immigrants in the U.S. With rising bills, stagnant pay, and families facing deportations. Are we still climbing or just treading water? Is it time to rethink the dream entirely? Please drop a comment below and tell us where you're tuned in from. What city, what state, what country, what village? Please tell us where you're tuned in from. And I'm your host and producer, Ali Badawi. It is Friday the 18th of July. We are streaming live from Kilimanjaro Studios outside Washington, D.C. Now, please remember to follow the OneMic Show on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. You can either find us as The OneMic Show or at OneMic Show. It's one of those. Figure out which one. Please follow us. And on panel with me tonight is Mr. OneMic, who will be joining us via Zoom. He's not in studio tonight. Sports anchor Mika Och is out tonight. DJ 𝒔𝒊𝒄𝒂𝒏 will be live in studio. And not forgetting that our super producer, Mubelwa Bandio, is also live on set. And I also want to take this opportunity to welcome the fans who are already tuned in. I can see Sally Jones, Shiromin Otis. My goodness, you have like 5-6 names. Decide gani ndo gani. But karibu sana all the way from Georgia. Washeke Ndirangu, please tell us. We always say you're in Texas, you're in San Antonio, but you always surprise us with where you are. Please tell us where you're tuned in from. Washeke karibu sana. And I can also see Slay Odwar all the way from Dallas, Texas. Karibu sana. Slay, Dallas already representing again. And Slay is saying somewhere in the outskirts of Texas. What exactly do you mean by the outskirts of Texas? Texas has no outskirts. Texas is a very big state. It's like a country. It's like saying I am in the outskirts of Kenya. There is no such thing as the outskirts of Kenya or outskirts of Texas. You're either in Texas or you're out. There's no different ways.
I think she meant she's outside. Unajua vile watu sema TikTok outside.
No. Yeah.
You go outside.
Outskirts.
No, you go outside lakini you go Texas.
Yeah, so here amesema outskirts. So I don't know exactly what she meant. Again, anyone who's tuned in, tell us where you're tuned in from. City, state, village, country, galaxy, wherever you are. Please let us know where you're tuned in. We have quite a bit to cover tonight, so we are going to get started right away. Now, a few years ago, the African immigrant dream in America meant a pathway to stability. Just go get a degree, work hard, buy a home, and build something better for your children. But tonight we're going to be asking the hard questions. Is the side hustle culture sustainable? Are we really thriving or just surviving between gigs, shifts, and burnout? Do we now have to reinvent the village just to raise a family and send money home and hold ourselves up in a system that seems designed to stretch us thin? And then you look at the numbers, the cost of living today versus 2000 is not just higher, but it's becoming suffocating. We have rent, groceries, healthcare, childcare. Everything has doubled or tripled, but wages haven't kept pace. So what happened to the American dream? And more importantly, is it time that we redefined it? Is home ownership still the goal, or should we start preparing our kids to leave America and go live in another country? And as the pressure builds, we can't ignore the silent surge of deportations under the Trump administration, it's tearing families apart, denying visas, and targeting black immigrants with alarming precisions. Are we really safe? We'll tackle all this and more tonight, including what African families in America need to prioritize to not just survive, but to build power and thrive. And with me in studio to unpack all this is my all-star panel of DJ 𝒔𝒆𝒊𝒄𝒂𝒏, Mr. OneMic Kamakawa will be joining us on the phone or Zoom, one of the two. We're going to figure out where he's going to be. And of course, we have super producer Mubelo Abandio, who's in studio with us tonight. And like I said earlier, Mika Och is out tonight. Now, we're going to get started here, right here in studio with DJ 𝒔𝒆𝒊𝒄𝒂𝒏. Nataka kusema karibu sana DJ 𝒔𝒆𝒊𝒄𝒂𝒏. And before we get started, 𝒔𝒆𝒊𝒄𝒂𝒏, like I always say this, in our group here, you've been here the longest. So start by saying hello to the audience and tell us, what are some of the 2 or 3 most significant changes that you've seen from when you first set foot in America via Pan Am Airlines, as far as the economic situation is concerned for African immigrants? You've been through different phases. Tell us, what are some of the stark differences that from what you saw then to what you see now? DJ 𝒔𝒆𝒊𝒄𝒂𝒏, karibu sana.
You mean the Mayflower?
DJ 𝒔𝒆𝒊𝒄𝒂𝒏, karibu sana.
Ignoring that guy from Baltimore with his T-shirt and his Timberlands. Did he call in?
Well, no idea. I just had a voice, but we're gonna figure that out.
Did he ask for permission? Because
no, kawaida yake. No, HR issue again, but we'll deal with that behind the tent.
𝒓𝒂𝒏. So see me after class. So our audience, Asanteni, thank you very much. As usual, it's nice to be here with you guys another week. And we're unpacking these, I guess, golden nuggets. For some people, it may not be not so golden. And Ali, back to your question. So what I have seen that has changed with us here as immigrants in the diaspora over my last 10 years. Let's see.
Are you sure 10 years?
Wait.
Okay. All right.
Earning power.
Okay.
Our earning power has gone up. Obviously, things like, economy, minimum wage, at least, here things, what's the right way? I guess the right word would be to say that there's things in place that are put in place to kind of help you survive.
Mm-hmm.
And so minimum wage supposedly is set such that if you were to make that minimum wage, at least you won't go without a meal. So for that, I would say that the minimum wage, or should not even minimum wage, but I say that our earning power has increased. Meaning when we first came in, or at least when I first came in, the jobs that we went for or that we worked were things like fast food, security, gas stations, and those did not necessarily pay very well.
Okay.
But if you look at those who are coming in now, the jobs that they're going for, or the jobs that are available, or that they have a skill set for, is also markedly different. You'll find there's a lot of people who have even, they know at least even how to use a computer, which means that at the minimum, you'll be getting a job that's going to have a little bit more pay, or at least you'll start off at a better place than where I started off when I first came in. They're not going and applying for jobs at gas stations to pump gas.
Okay.
Pumping gas while you're going to school was very normal.
Yes.
For us.
Mm-hmm.
Working security while going to school, very, very normal. Working fast food while going to school, very, very normal. And you could even work like 2 or 3 of those jobs. And of course, and now you tend to have people who are coming in who have much better skill sets, so the money is going to be more. But in terms of what what we are seeing and what has happened, I think what's really transpired, I would venture to say probably over the pre-COVID, and by pre-COVID I mean maybe 2 to 3 or 4 years before that, with the immigration laws tightening, then it also means that those who are coming, if you didn't have your papers correct, you really don't expect to assimilate into society easier,
Okay.
as it was before, where things like even driving without car insurance was very common. Things like DUIs, that was unheard of. Folks, there are some things, kuna mchezo zingine za town za tulikuwa tunafanyaga,
Yeah.
kama kusema naweza fanya jobo kama Ali, nitaiwacha tu hivyo kwa wale nasikiza. So hizo vitu wezifanya siku hizi.
Okay.
You can't, there's a lot more checks and balances that if you don't have your paperwork straight, you are not going to survive in this country. Whereas at the time when I came, the checks and balances were not that many. There were certain what you would call safe haven states, so to speak, where if you went there, you are guaranteed to find your people, you're guaranteed to get a job, you're guaranteed to get a place to live, whether you're coming in as a visitor, as a student, as a politician, it didn't matter.
Okay.
So things have changed. And then, of course, economy, things have cost much.
Yeah, and of course, we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about whether it's worth it, like staying here, especially if in a situation where you don't have papers. There was a time it was very normal not to have papers, and it was okay staying here. There was a way around it. So we're going to talk about whether, if it's worth it, doing that anymore, or if you should just buy your ticket, head home, and start afresh. I'm going to go to Uno who's tuned in over the phone, working from home with no authorization. But karibu sana Uno Mike, salimia wasikilizaji wote, and then tell us, from the moment you came here, at least Omosh came with... what wanasema, you said he came with the Mayflower. So if he came with the Mayflower, Uno Mike, you must have come with Panam, because you came not too long after Omosh. Uno Mike, please talk to us about from the moment you dropped off, whether it was BWI Airport or Dallas Airport or DCA with your Pan Am flight. Talk to us about what the situation was like then for African immigrants and what you're seeing today. What is the stark difference? Uno Mike, twende kazi.
Mnanipokea vizuri?
Live and clear.
Thank you. So, by correction, it wasn't Pan Am, it was Lufthansa. Just for your correction.
Same thing.
No, different.
Yeah.
Pan Am went out of business. Lufthansa is still flying. Anyway.
Lufthansa is still flying.
Yeah, Lufthansa is still flying. Yes, it's still there.
You see, unaona mosh kujianika. Anyway, when I first came, there were not that many Kenyans. Like, there were not that many. And like Omosh said, I think, and we have discussed this before, wherever you landed or whoever you housed with pretty much determined the road or the trajectory with which you are going to follow. At that point in time, you're coming as a student, if you're going to get a job, you're getting a job on campus, you're limited, or if you're able to work outside, you're doing what everyone was doing. It's like kongamano ya if Ali finds a job, let's say at a restaurant, everyone goes there. If Omosh finds a job at a parking spot, everyone used to go there. There was, I think, tulikuwa tumewekwa baridi in terms of this is what only you can do. But then then also there are not that many people, so you just go with what you're being told. But as people started coming in, that was the late 90s. As people are coming in, people started, for a lack of a better word, people started getting brave. You find somebody, amepata a 9 to 5. You're like, how? And it's a corporate gig. You're like, wait a minute. Because at that point in time, you're limited, again, as I said, to what you've been exposed to or what your persons are telling you. So either maybe unafanya parking, ama maybe unaingia, you learn like this, unapelekwa pale, unaenda kufanya first aid, CPR, so that you can go into to be a CNA or a GNA. And then after that you find that, you know, guys found a way, wanapata kitu, you become an LPN. So everyone starts going to the LPN school, and that's what everyone was doing for a whole year, and everyone goes into there. While at the same time, there are people who found out about doolies. Everyone does that. But the more Kenyans came in, the more they ventured into uncharted waters and uncharted territories. And some people, nikama, like you say, you know, there were no footsteps, so walijitengenezea footsteps. I hope that has probably shed some light.
Okay, all right. Asante sana Uno-Mike. And we have Stephen Bati here, Sambaza, all the way from Texas, saying, I remember those days of migration, working where one place was found to be a safe haven to work. You would find like 20 Kenyans working over there. And then Apa Slay anasema it was Cutter Blood and Texas Instruments. So now it's being revealed where Wakenya ambao walikuwa hawana makaratasi walikuwa wanafanya kazi. And Texas was a very popular place. Texas was indeed a popular place, and that's part of the reason why Texas became one of those spaces that you know, like housed so many Kenyans, because so many people went there and they were able to find these jobs, because Texas was a state that was growing, and they were looking for labor, you know, like they did not have enough employees, so it was a good place to go. And yeah, so for those who are tuned in, please let us know, you know, like from when you came to now, what are some of the differences you've seen? 𝒔𝒑𝒂𝒏 here and Uno-Mike are saying, you know, like there's a stark difference in the kinds of jobs that people were doing when they were new here. It was normal to find a Kenyan working in a gas station, you know, like working those CNA jobs. But the interesting now is that the new Kenyans who are coming now, it's very easy, you know, like I have a family member cousin who's whose first job was in information technology, you know, got a programming job immediately, first job in the US. So which was something very unusual, but we're starting to see a change. And I think a lot of employers are also realizing that these new people who are coming in, there's a lot of value that people have been sleeping on. Back then, it was no American experience. You either go work at a gas station, you do those CNA jobs, or work in a grocery store. You know, like my first job, Target, Giant Food, I was an expert in bagging. Ukitaka nikubagie anything, you know, like kama ni nyama umeleta hapo, kama ni whatever you've bought, you know, like I was an expert in doing that. Paper or plastic, it was amazing stuff. And back then, there was still, you know, like a lot of cash that was moving around. You know, like my next job from working up or Target and Giant was actually in a bank, and to me that was such a big upgrade, you know, like from grocery store to bank teller. I think whether that's a good, you know, like it has a good tune to it, maybe I can write from grocery store to bank teller. Yeah, so it was such a big deal. I remember my very first job, I think the salary was $6.60, and then nikapata upgrade to $7. So I moved from I was being paid $6.60 at Target, and then I got an upgrade to $7 at Giant Food. And you know, that was almost 10%, 8 to 10% pay increase. Yeah, ikuwa mchezo. So I immediately moved and shifted to Target. I can't remember which one I started. I think Target ndo nilianza, because I started working in Target. I was 2 weeks old in the country. Like I did not even know, you know, like what American brands
a nickel
are.
or a dime.
Yes, I did not know the currency. I did not know, you know, like unaingia supermarket and you're seeing all these different products. You don't know exactly what they are. I was fresh, you know, and those are the jobs that people are doing. But of course, the difference that we are seeing now is that people are, you know, like starting with much better paying jobs. However, on the episode tonight, we want to figure out those Americans who've stayed here, you know, like for a while. The OGs back then, when us guys were new, how are the OGs doing? And then now that you and I have become the OGs here, how are we doing compared to the OGs back then? Who was living a better quality of life? And again, the number to call, 202-683-4570. press *5 to speak and let us know, your experience coming here. Up I can see Stephen Batty saying, by the way, it wasn't only Kenyans. Other countries shared the same issues like us. And so if you are in school with guys from Zimbabwe, you would tell them the plug and they would hang around us as well. Gas station was Ethiopia and India fellas. And then call centers were the place to be. Flashbacks kibao. And this is all in Texas. And then Slay Anasema went from retail to logistics. My experience is a little different because I came after Omosh na Uno. By the time you're coming, Slay, Kina Omosh and Uno had been here for like 20 years. So if there's another English term, problem na English, it's very limited. If there's another term that can stress the after, showing distance, not just after, it would be good. And then upper, I can see
Slay, don't listen
Nancy is tuned in from Iowa. Nancy, karibu sana. Please tell us your experience. Andrew Maina, anasema, we work 60 hours a week, big bro. People did not know this from Kenya, including side hustles. That's Andrew Maina. Karibu sana. Andrew Maina, please tell us where you're tuned in from. City, state, country, or if you're tuned in from a galaxy, please let us know. And then Nancy anasema, lol, we are OGs. So Nancy, please talk to us about your experience. I also have Arthur Kocheng, who's already tuned in. Arthur Kocheng, karibu sana. Anasema, watching from Kabete, Kiambu County, niko ndani. Okay. Kabete, Kiambu County hapo. Arthur Kocheng. And then Slay anasema, no after stressing the after. Hiyo ndo weakness ya hii language ya English now, and those are those who are tuned in on Facebook. I can see on YouTube we also have some people already tuned in on YouTube. Gladys Nelly Kimani, karibu sana. Please let us know where you're tuned in from. Anasema, fresh off the boat, I started with $17 an hour. God damn. $17 an hour
so
getting started.
Hii ndio start. Huyu tunafaa awache tu namba yake.
Yes.
Juu kuna vile zile stock zako wewe usema gani ile watu wanafaa kuweka pesa.
S&P 500 index fund.
Bas anafaa kuindex hiyo fund yake between 17 na ile anatengeneza.
But sasa she needs to tell us when she came to the US and when she was earning this 17, because damn, $17 an hour back when we came, man, you were the Don Mega, like you were being respected.
That was salo.
Like I mean, you hapo ulikuwa unaonekana unaheshimiwa. Yani mpaka hata kama ni mdogo wako namwambia shikamo, because $17 an hour you were the Don Dada. So again,
Ali, compare $17 an hour to $4.25 an hour.
God damn.
Minimum wage.
Hiyo 425 hata miss kupata. Anyway, number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Wacha twende hapa studio.
Uno was a dishwasher.
Uno was a dishwasher, but he'll tell us more about it. Yes, wacha twende hapa kwa studio kwa baba Paulina Mubelwa Bandio. Karibu sana. Talk to us. Maybe tell us when you got here and your experience yako when you got here the first time, and the experience of Africans generally, where they were at that time and where we are today.
Maybe I say stories za wabongo, unajua, maybe they used to come with they used to come with sugar from Kagera. You never know.
Okay.
Na wakaanza kuuza
Aya, sawa. Let's go to Mubelwa Bandio. Karibu sana Bandio.
Wapo vipi?
Safi sana. Talk to us Bandio.
Hizo zilikuwa ni FedEx. What else? Gas stations, unajua.
Okay, FedEx
So
gani?
FedEx ground.
Okay, FedEx wale wanafanya delivery ama wale walikuwa na zile box truck na wana nini na wanakomboa, ama walikuwa wanafanya na kampuni wenyewe?
Delivery. FedEx ground was contract. FedEx Express nafikiri ndio ilikuwa employee. So
okay.
UPS ilikuwa
Okay. Na mshahara wako?
Mshahara wangu kwanza ulikuwa actually mshahara wangu wa kwanza baada ya, kwa sababu FedEx I was just a jumper.
Jumper ndio nani? Ule jamaa mwingine
unasaidia. And the goal was just kuweza kuwa entrance kwa hizo offices zote. So kila office unayokwenda kudeliver,
yes,
you look. Kwa hiyo kwangu mimi nichukua kama opportunity to go around na kuangalia kuna nini kwenye office gani. So my first job was as mechanic assistant, Alexandria, Bairo Truck and Tractor Services. That was like $11.
So damn. Mechanic assistant ndio ule alikuwa na spanner?
No, you do everything umeambiwa ufanye.
Okay.
Except so you're not certified. That's basically you're not a mechanic kuitwaje ule master. You're not a master mechanic, you're not a master mechanic.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that guy used to work just by himself for like 24 years. So he was just getting old. Kwa hiyo.
Okay.
Hapo.
Oh wow.
And then after that whether
Alexandria.
Alexandria,
That's
Virginia.
interesting. Like, how do you land that job?
Uh,
Like, it had to be you knew a guy who knew a guy
well,
who knew
because
another guy.
FedEx, the guy who FedEx was in Virginia.
Yes.
So we used to deliver in those areas. So
Got
Nifika Pale, because I had a background in auto mechanic back home and fitter mechanics. So kwa mimi that was easy.
So Mubelwa, $11 an hour ilikuwa ni mwaka gani?
Or 3.
Or 3?
Yeah.
Okay, so $11 an hour
That's
or
pretty
3.
decent.
That was a good
That's
starting
pretty decent.
salary.
It was, I
Yeah.
would say, nafikiri nilikuwa na maisha mazuri then than now. But
Na ilikuwa ni ile chini ya meza ama ilikuwa ni ile official unapata
hapana,
pay
official,
stub?
boy.
Okay,
Unapata pay
okay.
stub.
Haya.
Yeah, official. Na tax nilikuwa nalipa.
Kabisa.
Na deposit.
Haya.
Just back then ulikuwa ukideposit inachukua I don't know how many days. You had to deposit in Maryland kwa sababu ukideposit Virginia is out of
Yes.
state.
Different experience, yeah.
Yes, back then hata namba za simu ukipiga tu unakuwa una,
Kulikuwa na
you have to
long
wait
distance.
mpaka saa 3 usiku.
Yes.
But yeah, and then after that, actually what made me change was weather and my, health condition. So it was getting cold na ile accident ambayo nilipata, back in 1999. So I could not tolerate being outside kwenye snow all that time. So
Okay, the weather elements and having
Yes.
those
So I had to look
doors
for something
opened
else.
and nini. Okay, sawa.
And then by the I've been with 𝒂𝐚𝐺 ever since. So tangu like 20 plus years now.
Okay. So 20 plus years in
Huyu
the
ni-
aerospace
is
industry.
a union worker.
Yeah.
Sasa,
No, we
ah.
don't. It's not union.
Are you in a union?
Not in a union.
There's no one who's union there.
No,
UAW
not
hawajawafikia.
there, no.
Let me make a call.
Because we moved from 𝒓𝒂𝒏, actually AG&G to 𝒓𝒂𝒏 to Eaton. So
Okay.
Okay.
I never. But
Okay.
yeah, what has changed? Financially, yes. I think people now they're coming with some knowledge. I guess technology helped because now you can feel like
Yes.
people are coming with a lot of knowledge. It's not like when we used to back then. Ukiwa unajiprepare kuja hapa, you had to go to the internet cafe.
Kiosk.
Cyber cafe, yeah.
Cyber cafe, yeah.
Yeah.
So you go to internet cafe. Na unakaa hapo mpaka
Cyber.
ile load.
Yeah.
So information haikuwa kama sasa hivi. So people now are coming. The world is becoming smaller. I mean, a lot of changes in the last 20 years. From AOL, early 2000 to now, So I
Uplink.
think the main thing ambayo imebadilisha society ni information.
Okay.
Information, technology, watu wakija sasa hivi, at least you can prepare. You can learn about here. You can prepare to be in the US while in TZ or Kenya.
Okay.
Which is not
So
the
it's
same.
not
It
a
wasn't-
surprise.
It was not, it was not the same. But
Okay.
you still kuna zile surprise za kutoa na na ile suruali
Culture,
yako ya church
yeah.
alafu unakuta kuna snow nje.
Yes.
You freeze everything. Kipato, that was one thing, and I think the other thing is when I got here, we used to meet a lot with technology.
Mhm.
It makes us feel like we are very close, but we are far apart.
Okay.
So we don't get those nyamachomas it used to be. Hizo mechi za vitambi, you can tell now.
The
you know.
village.
Yeah, so sasa hivi we are not meeting as we used to. Those
Okay.
communities were strong then.
Okay.
Tanzanian community in DC
Yes.
was very strong compared to now. I mean, we are communicating.
Lakini
no
bado
matter
muna ile nini muungano wenyu,
what.
si
Yes,
ndio?
upo,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
the meeting is not sasa hivi.
It doesn't
You are
hold
not
as much.
it's
Yeah.
not regional, you're not limited. Back then ingekuwa tu ni hapa ni Delaware. Like in sasa hivi we have like countrywide.
Now, to come back to what you're saying, Bandio, you're the idea of a village. The village seemed to be stronger back then,
Yeah.
where people were meeting more regularly, be it, like at people's houses, events. Because I somewhat felt like almost every other weekend, we would be meeting for some reason. If it's people going out, if it's people in a soccer tournament, or for rugby or whatever, barbecues. There was a village. The village was stronger. Na hii village ni kama ili sambaratika. It's like it fell apart, or maybe I think maybe people grew older and became busier.
I think ni transition kutoka wale walikuwa wana hold na wale wanaingia. There was nobody to, like, they basically didn't, I guess, is it called step up to fill the gap, or the gap was not filled, and so then the gap just went.
So what
So
was
now it's
what
a
was
whole-
different then? Was it that there was a lot of people who are fresh in America? And for the people who are fresh in America, I can see here Mudhoni Kimani telling us, I think no alikuwa 17 an hour. I came 2 years ago, so that makes sense, because $17 an hour back in 2005, 2004, man, you are the don dada. But yeah, so what is it that changed? Because I'm curious, of the experience of people who are fresh in the country. And by fresh, I'm saying people who've been here within the last 3 years. Do they have those same meetings that we had, those same events, or is the feeling
They do,
different?
but in a different way.
Yeah.
They meet through Zoom, which we didn't have.
Yes.
The WhatsApp videos and all this stuff.
WhatsApp has killed a lot of that physical interfacing, and I can tell you that especially from and I'll speak on my own experience. So to say, in my community, Saza Matanga, basically it's fundraiser.com. That's what you're going to be doing.
Yeah.
Now, what would happen is that if somebody passed away in Maryland and you are people from the same area, then hata watu wa kutoka New York wana shuka down to Maryland. And they'll come in vans or they'll come in whatever, because they'll carpool and they'll come, fundraise, and turn around and go back.
Yes.
That has gone away. We no longer do things like that. You just have a WhatsApp group. Everybody belongs to this group, and it's Nikama Chama.
So do you think technology has kind of like, in as much as we seem to be in soft touch with each other every day, but do you think it has taken people apart more?
Yes,
than
it has
we used to
taken
have?
away the human touch. You know, just, and I'll use COVID as an example. What COVID did, that whole, when we were isolated and in our house, and by the time you came out, it's like you forgot how to relate with other human beings.
I agree.
And so when you saw other human beings, even when they're in your space, and you are used to having this person and you're connecting with them, you could not, you didn't even feel like you wanted to connect, because you're so used to being in that space of yours, sitting hapo kwa nini, you know, either whether it's your dining table, whatever, your space was your space, and the whole entire house was now your space, that you didn't want anybody in this entire house, as opposed to the bedroom being your personal space. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, that's right.
So that's what technology has done. It has made us lose that human touch, that essence of, because humans were not, you know, we were not, we've not been brought up, or should I say, we do well with that whole feeling a warm body next to you, talking to somebody, you know, looking at their eyes, you know, and those are things that even an SMS or WhatsApp doesn't do for you. Even if you do the WhatsApp video, it's still not the same thing.
Nafikiri tuko na mtu kwenye line.
Okay, na kama kuna mtu kwenye line, again the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. Mubelwa, there's some people who are saying mic yako iko low kwa YouTube, so I'm not 100% sure. Sijui kama ni wewe unaongea in a shy way,
I think he's shy. He's not using the rule of thumb of fist between mic between fists.
Yes, so we'll figure that out. Again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. I think we have our first caller.
2059. Hello.
Please tell us your name and where you're calling from and talk to us.
Afro Jamaica, Toronto, Canada.
Afro Jamaica.
All right, Afro Jamaica.
Wagwan, brother.
All right, Afro Jamaican, the Jamaican. The Jamaican in Canada.
So
tell us about African
American
immigrants in the U.S.
Yeah, man. So the American experience and the Canadian experience is not that similar. But I think when you start moving up in your job and your economic situation changes, I think changes for you. When I just came here, every Friday night after work, we'd go to this garage, we'd play domino, somebody would put up a drum pan, somebody would be steaming fish or have some chicken out there or something, and we would do that for a while. I've been here 26 years. But when you get promoted at work and you have more demands on you, it kind of fizzles. The more you incorporate in the Canadian society, and I'm going to probably the American society, I think we leave a little bit of our Africanness to the side. I could be wrong, but that's just my experience. I find the more you try to chase what you're being sold, I think you lose a little bit of yourself.
Okay. And Afro-Jamaican, why do you think we tend to lose ourselves once you get into the system and you get plugged in? Is it that you just get so busy, or is it that you just get so distant from where you came from?
I think you get busy because now, when I only had rent to pay, I didn't have to worry about much. But now you have a mortgage, you have car payments, you have daycare. I don't know what daycare is like in the States. Here is like a mortgage. Like, you don't have time to go hang with your friends and play domino. because yo, I gotta sleep because I have to do a double shift tomorrow to make that money. Because I have those bills coming in. So it's very. I think it becomes like a paper chase, and you lose. I personally think you lose some of your Africanness or your Jamaicanness or your Caribbeanness. You lose something the more you try to become American or become Canadian.
Oh, wow. Now, would you say that American dream that many of us were following, be we African or Caribbean, do you think that it is dead, or is this an over-exaggeration or like a hyper clickbait headline? Do you think that African dream is dead, or is there still a shot to salvage it, Afro-Jamaican?
From the Canadian perspective, it's dead. I mean, even 10 years ago, I probably paid $400K for my house. This house now is $1.5 million.
God damn.
Don't pay that for a house right now when you just leave university and you have maybe $30,000-$40,000 in debt. Like, how are you going to pay for this? So people are realizing that people are moving back into their parents, man. Like that dream of owning a home and having 2 kids and 2 cars, that's dead here. I don't know what it's like in the States, but here it's completely gone.
Wow.
Well,
in my province that I live, which is equivalent to a state, they're now measuring the amount of people leaving Canada. And I'm not talking just even Africans or Caribbeans. I'm talking Caucasians. People are leaving.
Wow. I mean, this is actually very dangerous. I don't know whether, the governments are paying attention to this, because it's not only black people. A lot of Caucasians are leaving. You go to a lot of Middle Eastern countries, you will find a lot of Caucasians who moved at places like Qatar, places like Bahrain, and even now countries like Turkey. You're finding a lot of people who are moving there. And then, of course, there's the African continent. We cannot forget.
They're moving to Europe. They're moving to Scandinavia. Basically, they
governments don't care, though.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you why. Because the poor African will still come here and he'll do his 20 years. You understand? So for them, it's a revolving door. It's just that gradually things are going to get worse. I was making hot dogs tonight for my wife, and normally the hot dogs here are huge. It won't fit in the bun. And I called her in the kitchen, and I'm like, these are small. They've gotten at least 30% smaller, but the price have gone up 50%.
With inflation.
Wait a minute. You mean they went from a 12-inch plate to a 9-inch plate on the hot dog?
9-inch blow. These are like 7 inches, man.
Damn. Damn. I hope I'm not sure. I hope you guys are talking about hot dogs, the food.
We are talking about hot dogs, the food.
Okay,
That's what we're talking about.
Just
Get
checking.
your mind out the gutter.
Yeah, just checking, just making sure.
Wow.
Now, could it have been because of maybe trying to be health conscious? Like even the way McDonald's has reduced the size, or is it just gouging people, shrinkflation?
It's gouging, because if you look at you can go on the internet and do comparisons. Get the same product from like France compared to America and Canada and look at the ingredients. They don't care about our health at all here. They don't. It's all about money. So they understand that the richer we get, we're going to leave, but they still market Canada, America, England so well that poor Africans and poor Caribbeans are going to come and think they've arrived. But after you've been here a couple of years, you're like, yo, this don't make no sense. So I'm going to Kenya. I don't know about anybody else.
Okay, all right. Well, like a very interesting take and very interesting perspective. The number to call, 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Afro-Jamaican, thank you.
You are the last party in the conference.
Thank you very much. Again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. So very interesting perspectives, because I'm going to come to you, Mike. Very interesting perspectives, because we see that there are people who are still trying to come here, who would do anything to come here from the African continent. And in some cases, you can't blame the person.
You can't tell them.
Because also of the situation they're in. Because I think we sometimes are looking at 2-3 different things. I think our countries are very nice places to live in if you're rich, or not even necessarily rich, if you have just a certain modest income, I think you're gonna live very well. But then there's a very big part of the population that is struggling to survive. Mike.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think from maybe it's not that people drifted away. At some point, when you're 20, 21, it's Kadunda. When you're 25, 26, you meet a mama or you meet a jama, depending, and you start a family. So, and once you start a family, that completely shifts, because even the people and persons you hang out with changes. Because if let's say Bandio ni mse wa Kadunda ana watoi na mimi niko na mtoi moja at least, la tuseme Omosha kwa na mtoi, I'm gonna start gravitating and hanging out with Mosh more, because we are sharing experiences and the struggle of trying to raise kids here. So like a baby has come, now you have to think about daycare. You have to think about, okay, we're going to have to think about times. Do you have to adjust jobs? Like so many things happen. And then you start finding yourself getting into a community or a tribe, for lack of a better word, of people who've got kids and the struggles. Then you start drifting there and you start hanging out. So you sort of start being with those people and you start doing things in common, because guess what? Your kids. So your kids today, maybe mnaenda swimming, mnaenda sijui kucheza wapi, and now your kid at a certain age starts playing soccer or starts doing sports. You start drifting towards that. So I think not that it's life. Life happens and people start drifting. To add on to what Omosh was also saying, there is the issue of COVID, because when COVID came, the technology, people now found it easier. People found it easier to
not show up to the OneMic show.
To embrace,
because to find it easier not to always travel all the way from New York to Baltimore in case kuna matanga or there's something, right? But you can actually have a video call,
and
it was made possible. And what?
And live stream
came.
Yeah.
And live streaming. So like that actually made it easier, because it's funny, it's interesting that you find there are people who are introverts. There are people who find themselves in a group of people. They panic. They just like to be themselves. And for them, you could say it was a breather, a breath of fresh air, that majority of the things that if they wanted to do, they could do it virtually. Meetings, Jobo, and nowadays people have actually people even with like Mashakaya and stuff, what they do is they provide a Zoom link, because there are people who cannot travel. If you cannot travel from North Carolina to come, or if you cannot go to Virginia, or you can even just sometimes locally, technology made it easier. But then there are those people who, for them, contact is important. Kuona mtu, like Omosho saying, to see you, man, I see your eye, I see you smile, I hear you laugh. Seeing you virtually is one thing, but seeing you physically, that's another thing. So there has a life happens. And then on top of that, many people at one point, like there has been a movement, what wameshinda ma green card. So like families and people. So eventually those people find their own tribes. Pole, maybe the degrees of separation are kidogo. You find that there's somebody who knows Omosh, who knows Ali, or somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows Omosh,
okay,
or who knows Ali or Badio. So yeah,
okay.
So I think that it's life in itself has happened, where it's like people have also moved on. Like you sort of move on to the next stage of life. You once you start a family, that's a different stage in life.
Okay.
Back to the studio.
All right. Asante sana Uno Mike. And the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Controm Kenya hapa anasema the American dream is what you make it to be. However, Kyomoka, you have to decide if you want to be a man of the people and dish out your reserves or save na ujijenge. Very, very good point. And then Control Kenya Father says, moving out of the US, I still think the American dream is a better and a shiny dream compared to the dream of living in Kayole versus Kibera. Depends on who you talk to.
Amen to that.
Yes, I think this is very true. This is something very relative. I think sometimes, especially when we get a little bit extra woke in quotes, and we start romanticizing the idea of moving back, when we know even the experience of moving back for those who used to live with us back then and who are there now, there's some, of course, who are doing okay, and there's still quite a number who are struggling to make their way around, and there's some who, would they get half a chance to come back, they will come in even on a cargo flight, and that's just the reality.
My friend, hata wakati wa mwisho nakuja na Panama Air, other people were parking kurudi nyumbani.
Exactly.
Yeah. Kwamba tu kwetu tulikuwa tuone. Kuna nambari hapa ya kupiga 0045. Kuna caller hapa.
All right, caller, tell us your name and where you're calling from, and then talk to us.
All right, hello.
Caller,
how is everyone doing? This is Stephen Okoth from Colorado.
Okay.
All right, Stephen Okoth, Colorado. Is it the first time you're calling the One Mic show?
Oh, Tivo! Nope.
Okay.
I've called before, but from Pennsylvania. I just recently moved to Colorado.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, talk to us.
It's an interesting topic, right? Because I think for many of us, even listening to the show, you guys, actually participating in this show, we are living the American dream, right? We came as students and we made a life for ourselves here. And so when we say it's over, what exactly does it mean? Because now many of us have raised our children here. This is what they know to be home. I mean, even if they go to Kenya, they know that Kenya is where, Gokran, Shosho, maybe we go and visit, or our cousins go visit. But, they know that this is where school is, and, essentially this is where they're making their lives to be. I like what the person just said. The comment that they said is that the dream is truly what you make out of it. But my main point in calling was that a lot of us are continuing to provide a Kenyan dream through working hard here to try to make this American dream. I mean, the remittances that we make back home is what people are living on, and so it'll be very difficult for us to just say, I'm packing up and leaving, when we're still trying to provide a dream for people in Kenya who have no hope for, a dream of their own. And I'm not saying that they're not wealthy people. Obviously, there are very many wealthy people in Kenya. But at the same time, we are the ones who are providing for a lot of people, relatives, parents, all that. The other thing is that many of us also came when we were really young. I mean, speaking for myself, I barely turned 20 when I came here. And so my whole adult life has really been spent in America. And so that's how am I removed from the daily runnings of stuff in Kenya. And a vivid point of this came like when I wanted to renew my Kenyan passport, and I did it at Nyayo House, I remember. So I'm sitting there, I'm trying to be patient, waiting for the guy to give me my passport, and the guy just not doing anything. And a buddy of mine comes and speaks so roughly to the guy, and lo and behold, the guy removes the passport from his desk and hands it to me. I mean, my point is that my adult life has been spent here, and I know how things operate here. So my dream might not be that great a dream if I go back to Kenya and try and live it over there. So thanks for the show. I'll continue listening offline.
All right.
Thank you, Dr.
That is Steve Okoth from Colorado. Asante sana. So very interesting perspectives. And like I said, those of us who've survived here for more than 20 years, we tend to be in a very privileged space, because if you look at the crowd that we came with, there's some, of course, there's a few who went back voluntarily. There's quite a bit who went back home not in their own terms. And then there are those of us who survived that period. But I want us to and I want us to take us a little bit different. But before that, there's some comments here that were coming in as we were speaking. I can see Controm Kenya. Oh, I think I've already read Controm Kenya's comment. 𝒓𝒎𝒄𝒂𝒏 karibu sana from Dallas, Texas. And then kuna Afro-Jamaican hapo 𝒂𝐚𝐧 anasema, of all my friends. Ama kuna ingine nimemiss kabla hiyo 𝒂𝐚𝐧.
Si emoji za slay au zenyewe zisomwe.
Hizo emoji hazisomwi. Labda tuambie alikuwa anacheka nini. Mimi nilikuwa najua alikuwa anacheka nini.
Alikuwa anajaribu kumatch smile ya Uno.
Mimi najua alikuwa anacheka ama na smile nini, but slay tell us type wewe mwenyewe tusiwe tumekumisquote, but I don't know what you was
you
talking
guys
about.
are attacking Slay.
Okay.
Slay, I got your back.
Yeah, but let's go to Afro-Jamaican hapa 𝒂𝐚𝐧, who we just talked to earlier. Anasema, of all my friends, only the poor ones, including me that stayed in Canada or the US. Anasema, no, of all my friends, only the poor ones, including me that stayed in Canada or the US. The people with money came for school and went home. Now, Afro-Jamaican, I don't know why you're going to categorize yourself as poor, and you just told us
maybe
you have a $1.5 million home.
No,
Yeah.
but
A $1.5 million home. Not
Again,
many
remember,
people
this
say
is
that.
the country where they say I was so poor sleeping in my car.
Yeah.
it's Canadian dollars.
No, but Canadian dollars.
I'm
just saying it's Canadian dollars.
Yeah.
But and maybe
Being poor is relative.
maybe he already pulled all the money out and sent it to Jamaica.
Well,
So he doesn't have equity like you think.
yeah, but that means he has some big resort in Jamaica. He's not telling us
He has
about.
invested.
No, he was
That he needs to
helping.
invite
He
us.
was the diaspora helping. He was buying goats.
He says
was
from
buying,
Waterhouse.
buying
Yeah.
goats. He was buying cows. You know, he probably sent a whole parish of people. Parish, that's an
Or
account.
probably sponsoring some reggae artist who became a big dancer.
But once
Yeah.
once you're able to do that, then you're not
Yes.
poor anymore.
You're not poor anymore.
Right.
I think what he meant is at the time is that
I came here with nothing.
Yes,
Okay,
that's what he
comment.
meant.
Okay.
That basically he didn't have soft landing to go back to after finishing his academics, and so he stayed because this was the softer landing than him going back to land and then now start trying to fight again.
But when you're
in the
poor, when you come here with nothing, there's only one way up. So
That-
you just
that is
fight
true.
and
That is true. And so if your fighting is done here and this is where the path is opened, for you to go back, you're still
I get
stuck.
that.
You're still stuck at nitakuwa where is it Morogoro? Or that's where I'll be stuck. And I'm not coming out of that area.
Yep.
And or what is the hope of coming out if I am the one who's providing for those who I left?
Yeah, and I think there's also a very different perspective from people who came from abject poverty. I know a lot of people like saying nimetoka mbali, I was
Correct.
poor.
Yes.
But the reality is some of those people saying nimetoka mbali were not that poor. But I think it's one of those cool things, so that you can show people nilikuwa huko, nimetoka mbali kutoka Rift Valley mpaka Spring Valley, mi hatari kama but sasa umefika hapa.
He actually rhymed with Spring Valley.
Hey, you never know. Maybe I could have been a great artist, who knows. But
We have a video of you. You want us to remove it?
no, let's not go there. But
Kwanza him dropping bars with Kainel. I remember that.
Wewe unachoma.
yeah, but anyway, what I'm saying is that a lot of people who claim they came from poverty, and I'm gonna call out one certain group, and maybe some of them are listening here, and that group is from Eastlands, Nairobi. Watu wa Eastlando, they have this thing of trying to claim that they came from poverty, but the reality, if you grew up in Eastlando even in the 80s, even all the way through the 90s,
It is your middle class.
you are not poor, because
No, you're not.
because all those mtas, Jericho, Buruburu was upmarket actually. Buruburu was upmarket, but all those other neighborhoods, even Kaloleni where watu wa Ololo where watu wa railways walikuwa nakaa, kulikuwa pia na Landimawe, kulikuwa na, and this other part called Landimodhurwa, which was destroyed, was also watu wa railway pale karibu na Machakos bus station. I know that because my family also has a background there. And I mean, I'm not gonna say
I thought
that
your people are from Magadi, but make up your mind.
Well, there were people who debuted in Nairobi.
Oh.
There were, of course, some people who debuted
Okay.
in Nairobi, and they made way for the rest of us to upgrade mpaka tukafika places kama Nairobi West. But you see, even people who are living in neighborhoods like Landimodhuru, hapo ilikuwa inaitwa Dallas, not Dallas ya Texas, but Dallas. But these people were not poor. But then there's this thing of penda kusema, you know, like nilitoka. But then there are some people who actually indeed came from poverty. And those people who came from the real poverty, I think their perspective is very different, especially if you came from a place where you did not have, you know, like indoor plumbing. You did not have, you know, like rooms. Electricity,
yeah.
or like even private rooms, you know, like the whole family would live in one room.
Privacy is that shuka.
Yeah, and I would always be curious, you know, like how babies were made, because babies were actually being made. But you know,
see, once kids, when kids are asleep, do they wake up sazile mtu anakatwa?
Lakini ndo nasema,
hata even if you wake up, you just open your eyes, say anyway, you close and you sleep.
Lakini ndo nasema, your situation, you know, like there are people who came from a very tough situation, and that's understandable, you know, like when people look at it very, very differently. You know, like I'm one of the few who will openly acknowledge my first time to struggle my entire life was when I came to the United States. So my perspective will be very different from someone who came from struggle in Kenya. And that's why I think while sometimes we have this thing of, story imekwisha hapa America, people should be moving back home, I think we have to be sensitive to the kinds of situations. And some of those people who came from that tough abject poverty, that abject poverty is still there. So they're even in a situation where nikirudi huku, how am I gonna, because there's nothing as lonely as being the only one who's made it in your family. There's a few crazy people who like being the kingpin, but I think for most people, most normal people, they like being in a situation where if they've made it, they also want a situation where their family members are also, you know, like doing well at a certain level. So
you know, Ali,
Uno Mike.
To support Dr. R's point, you know, also coming here at a young age. I mean, when I came here, I was 19, straight out of high school. Now, you're technically not, you know, it's not that you're just being, it's not like, it's like you're being sent to boarding, but you're being sent to boarding 16,000 miles away. And the visitation, hakuna visitation, you know, because this is not that mom or dad can just hop into a matri, alafu akuje visiting day, alafu waende.
Na chapo.
So, na chapo, na sosi, na mbogate, na nini, na dabudha. So, at 19, 20, 18, you know, now you're in a foreign land. It's like you have to adjust quickly. And also depending on who you meet, and sometimes even the persons that you meet, the environment you land in, even being family, and sometimes family can be your worst. The worst.
A lot of times they are the worst.
The worst recipients, the worst persons to receive you, because you can just totally chap a false start, and chapping a false start in Stato.
Oh yeah. It will mess you.
Will mess you up, because before you recover, man, let me tell you, it can be madhogodhanyo of the highest degree.
Yes, it can be totally detrimental.
To where some people never cover.
That is very true. Where you start.
So that's where you start is important, and that's why sometimes I think we've discussed this on the show. I think sometimes it's good. We were saying, hata fadhali mtu akuje hapa amemaliza degree ya kwanza. If you're coming from Kenya or wherever, just finish the first degree. At least you have cooled some maisha of, you even have a degree. Coming at 19, you haven't really faced anything. But when you're 19, when you're 24, you have a degree. You've dealt with people, campus. You have grown a little bit. You can even have something to fall back on if, by the way, and this is probably, I don't know you're going to discuss this, but if you have a degree.
Okay.
If you have some sort of expertise, you're a welder, plumber, electrician, that's a whole nother story. But yeah, back to the studio.
All right, asante sana Uno Mike. The number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Whoever just called, please call back. Again, the number is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. The person coming in the US right now is coming with a totally different set of information as the one who was coming back then. Back then, there was no information. It was a total blank slate, so you were totally at the mercy of whoever invited you, whoever received you here.
Yes.
I know of people who are coming here who even start applying for jobs before they get here. And especially if you're coming to a good space where the people are happy to have you here, they will let you apply for jobs with the address and everything. By the time unafika, unaingia interview, na unaanza kazi. So it's a very different ball game then, and it is now. And like Uno said, whoever receives you has a very big part in how
to shape your future.
To shape your future, especially that first 10 years. And that first 10 years can either make you or completely...
I'd say the first 5.
Or completely break you. Or completely break you. And we're going to talk about...
Because those are the people that you used to idolize. I mean, somebody coming from home on a nyumba, on a nyumba mbili, and then you get here, you find him working at the gas station. I don't know, FedEx driver, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's probably the only one kijijini kwenu na nyumba mbili. So you'll be like, ni sawa tu.
Yeah, I know.
So sometimes unakuta hata ile potential ambayo ungekuwa nayo umeiacha.
Exactly.
But the other thing ambayo imebadilika sasa hivi, back in early 2000s kipindi kile, ile degree na maybe formal kind of education ilikuwa ina maana. Sasa hivi unaweza kuona kwamba mtu mwenye vocational skills, welders now pia wanaanza kusukuma maisha. Sasa hivi unaona hata rate ya watu kusema you must have college degree to earn this much, na yenyewe imeanza kupungua. Kwa hiyo hata watu wanaotoka nyumbani na some other skills, yes, unaweza ukawa plumber tu. Plumber unaweza ukawa na maisha mazuri. Sasa hivi tofauti ya rate sio sana. Mimi kuna kijana nafanya naye kazi, namsimamia, amemaliza high school, amekwenda welding, sasa hivi ana make like $35 an hour. Right?
But now bandio, unajua hiyo story ya degree, they told us come to America, get a degree and the doors will open. But for many African immigrants, that door turned into what's called a glass ceiling. And of course, part of what we're discussing tonight...
degree. I mean, ukija hapo unasomea degree ya journalism, utaenda utangaza wapi?
Ndo hivyo sasa. But the big question that we also want to talk about tonight is why are we degree rich as Africans, but income poor? And I'm gonna say that in a very, in a very tricky way. We are degree rich, but income poor, because I think a lot of Africans also
life skills
don't know. But maybe someone is making even $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 an hour, and they think that is a very high amount of money they're making. But there's another mzungu kwa hiyo kampuni. Tabitha amekuwa akituambia doing the same job and making $200,000. 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. And then despite that, we have people in high-paying jobs, for example, kama nursing, who have side hustles. And a side hustle phenomena has become very common, despite there's an apparent increase in earning and everything. But everyone you talk to, including myself, has a side hustle. You might find someone is a nurse on the side and a drive Uber. You might find someone is an engineer, but then he's also doing other jobs on the side. So has the system kind of turned our credentials into liabilities? And maybe is it also time for African parents to stop pushing traditional careers and maybe start grooming entrepreneurs or just things that will put their kids in a better position?
There's this saying that your mental picture will determine your actual future. Right. Now expectations, it's another thing. Kuna watu, no matter what, they will think having 2 jobs means unatengeneza life.
Yeah.
Hey, but burudia that again. At what?
Your mental picture will determine your actual future.
But talk about your 2 jobs. What do you mean by
well, this is when Tabitha comes in, right?
Yeah.
People know how to earn, but not how to spend or invest. Kama alisema Warren Buffett, kwamba if you can make money while you're sleeping, you'll work for the rest of your life. Sasa hapo ndo kuweka kwa index fund na vitu vingine.
Yeah.
Sasa badala ya mtu kuinvest kwenye vitu ambavyo vitampunguzia kazi as they grow older, they don't do that. yes, ana degree, anakwenda anaongeza degree, na hiyo ni debt, student loan and everything. But guess what they're not doing? They're not spending wisely. They're not reinvesting that money. Kwa hiyo hapo pia pana changamoto, kwa sababu how we look at money ni tofauti na how other people do. Ndio maana unaweza kumwangalia mtu kama Tabitha anaongea, you're like, oh, okay, unaweza usimwelewe, lakini ni watu wachache, na ndio maana pia wengine sasa kwa sababu ya kutafuta hii au ndugu zetu wa financial nini wanaitwa watu wa insurance hawa wanakuja wanawa scam
IUL.
Yes, IUL
na LSSC.
Yes, kwa hiyo kuna shida ya approach yetu. And I think that's one thing ambayo hatuwafundishi watu au hatufundishwi kwamba jinsi ya kuizungusha pesa.
So we get attached to this we get susceptible to this get rich quick schemes.
Not only that, sisi tunaangalia zaidi ile iliyoandikwa kwenye pay stub kuliko ile ambayo unaweza kuizungusha kwenye maisha yako.
But there's a programming that we have been it's like for the longest time, even us growing up, what was pushed and what was programmed was be a lawyer, be a doctor, be whatever, you know, those top tier careers, and then buy land, you know, like I'm gonna say, like for the Morima people, Kamogoda here, Kamogoda, there's a Broti. So if that's what you hear, that's what you see, that's what you grow up in. Kuna kitu nanunua hapa, and then when you come here at 19, 20, 21, you know, and you're really working, you're trying to make headway. And I think as Bandia said, sometimes if you're the only person, I don't know if it was him or one of the callers, but if you're the only person in your place who has been fortunate enough to come to States, so that means that people are looking at you because there's a belief that coming to States is, you know, that's where, you know, money grows on trees, you know, only for somebody from the same village to come and find you're working double shifts at a gas station, ama you're working at a parking lot, or maybe you're a GNA, ama you're a trucker, you know. But I mean, things have evolved, you know, jobs have evolved over time, and more pay has improved over time, not as we would like, but over time, right? So sometimes it becomes a murky, trying to and I lost my thought. But I wanted to say that sometimes when you're taught, when you've been programmed to just think about land and whatever and investing, and that is why you think about it every other month there's a scandal about land, and then there are people who are coming in to try and sell land, but and people still get sucked in. But that is it. And I think there's a time we interviewed 𝑨𝒐𝒊𝒄𝒂𝒏, and she said, I think it was 𝑨𝒐𝒊𝒄𝒂𝒏 who said that at some point, I think for us, we need to start teaching our kids financial literacy has to be part of the curriculum.
But then Mike, I want to challenge, you know, what you and Bandio have said here, you know, because yes, there's that aspect of not necessarily knowing how to, you know, like how exactly to spend your money, and of course there's the earning side, which now Tabitha, for example, is very good at. Will show you how to increase that earning side, and then there's a spending side, you know, like for people who've been in finance like myself, will teach you how to make the best of what you have, and how to grow it in the fastest way possible, in the simplest way possible. But here's another challenge that I think we sometimes tend to overlook, and I will give an example. Before I bought, you know, like my home back in 2019, I was living in an apartment in Germantown, Maryland. Germantown is one of those places where like people would go, you know, like back then, if you want to escape the high rents in Silver Spring or towards DC. So that's one of the places that people would go. So at that point, until the last month that I lived there, towards November, December of 2018, I lived in a very nice 2-bedroom apartment, and it had a very nice sunroom, which was big enough to be a 3rd bedroom. The cost was 1,550 a month at that particular time. This is not long ago. This is not long ago. There was someone who was looking for an apartment, and they had been to my apartment before, and I was like, okay, that's a nice place. Let's go back and check to see if they have apartments available. Do you know that same apartment that I was living in? This is just 2019, we're in 2025, barely 6 years later.
Now?
No, it's almost 3,000.
Yep.
Yeah, it is almost $3,000.
Yep,
so
yep,
now, when you sit and think about it, when we go back to when maybe we started working, or even maybe as recently as 2011, 2012, in Gaithersburg, Maryland, you could get a 2-bedroom apartment for $1,000.
Yep.
It was actually less.
It
was less.
Yeah.
Because in fact, if you moved, my time, Gaithersburg, Germantown, you are under 1,000.
You are under $1,000.
You are under. In fact, those are the places where you're like, okay, you know what? Come and buy unafunga macho and you go. It was just the traffic that you're like, I don't feel like I don't feel like driving, you know, that long, but it was very, very. In fact, it was extremely affordable.
It was extremely
Even Frederick
affordable.
now is not affordable.
Now, when you go to Frederick, Maryland was almost wachana Frederick. Kulikuwa na area ingine to Hagerstown.
Yes.
I almost felt like
Damascus.
they would pay you. They would pay you to go live there.
Damascus.
Like here, take $200 to live every month.
In my time, if you had skin my color, you did not go there.
Yeah, but now it has
those
changed.
Areas you did not go anywhere off 28 iyo Damascus iyo hata kuchukua ferry kuvuka kwenda Leesburg. You take it when you're looking over, over your shoulders.
But not to lose this point, what I wanted to say is that these prices have increased so fast.
Yes.
In the sense that when you are slightly above minimum wage, like even up to 2010, 2011, you could afford to get a place by yourself if you are at 10, 11 an hour. Not anymore. So right now,
it's more expensive to rent than to rent.
Right now, minimum wage in Montgomery County is trending maybe towards $13, $14. I think it may be different in different parts of Maryland. It may be closing in on 15. I'm not sure. On a $15 wage, you cannot afford a 1-bedroom apartment in Germantown. So what I'm trying to say here is also the rate at which these wages have increased is not at the same rate at which the cost of living has gone up. And now the cost
100%.
Now the cost increase that came from the start of the pandemic, or rather from the period before the pandemic to now, has been it is very hard to believe. So right now, my the townhome that I live in, when I bought it, like my mortgage is slightly under $1,800. If someone is buying that home right now, considering the increase in rates and the increase in property values, the same person, someone buying that same home right now, is paying $3,400, $3,500. That's almost twice. It's almost twice.
They need 2 incomes to qualify for that home, whereas in your time it was 1 income.
It was 1 income,
and it's not long ago.
So and it's not long ago. So now there comes now the myth of the 2-income home, because it was now you have 2 incomes, now you have more money, but the reality is the second income has come in, but the expenses, and it's not just rent, ni chakula,
everything.
It's a cost of fuel. This day-to-day expenses.
Uongeze daycare,
Ali,
child care.
Unazunguka kusema nini? Turudi nyumbani?
No, na mimi nazunguka kuuliza. No, nazunguka. No, yeah. So mzunguko wangu ni nini? Right now. So I'll tell you this, because I have a lot of family members who are graduating high school.
Yes.
Some who are in college, who are going to be graduating college. Do you know the first piece of advice I'm giving them is don't move out of home? Because right now, to be honest, like kuna wale ambao, like wame move and they are seeing fire. Like they're seeing fire, because right now you move out of home, you go, and of course, if you're, especially you want to go live in a nice neighborhood where you can go down and have a good time with friends, you'll pay a minimum of $2,000 for a 1-bedroom apartment. So if you're just getting started, and plus the expenses of owning your own place, you will be putting yourself back. When us guys graduated, you could easily do that and still have some savings. But right now, Bandio, this is actually not one of the best times to be getting started.
All right, the number call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. Again, is the American dream dead for African immigrants? Ndani ya studio, Ali Badawi pamoja na 𝒔𝒐 na kutoka unknown place tuko na OneMic. Call please 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak.
So I don't know whether maybe guys are getting what I'm trying to say, because I think a lot of us who were fortunate to especially buy homes before the COVID pandemic, there's like two different economies. The one economy of the people who bought homes before the pandemic, at least they've frozen their housing costs, or not necessarily housing, at least they've frozen their mortgage costs at whatever they were paying back then, as opposed to people who bought after, where you're living in the same house, same bedroom, same everything. One of you is paying $1,800, the other one is paying $3,500.
Kayak.
Yes, so that right there is a big deal, and that's where the other piece of advice I'm also giving, especially people who are going to college, forget about these student loans.
So if I may ask, Ali,
yes,
what is the American dream now?
So the American dream right now is survival.
Survive.
Yeah, right now, let's be honest, Bandio.
It's not a home. It's not a house with a picket fence and what is it? 2.5 kids. And a car.
But let's agree, because when that idea was being sold, ilikuwa tu walami tu. It used to be YouTube people peke yao.
Yeah, white picket fence,
yes.
and a station wagon, and a puppy called Husky. But right now the dream is survival. Let's just be very honest. I mean, there's of course a few people who are making very good money, who are still thriving in this economy, and there's still so many opportunities to thrive. But the reality, like, do you know the median household income in America? This really shocked me. Does anyone know? Can anyone guess? Not even individual income, household income. Can anyone make a guess right here?
We say the median?
Median, yes.
I think it's something like,
give it 70.
70? What's your guess?
It's like about 23,000.
Yeah, na unomai kusinini usi chat GPT haraka upesi, because I can hear your fingers. Unomai, what do you think it is?
40.
Household income.
Oh, household income.
Yes,
combined
not individual.
income.
Yes, household income. Household income is not necessarily
65?
combined. Yeah. It's
65?
65. Okay, Bandio amesema 70, Omosh ametoa 23. Omosh is so off, it's so out. But the median household income in the US is between 80 to 84 at the moment. Now, that sounds like a big amount. That's household, like where maybe there's two earners in that household, and then of course there's some households that have only one income earner. But you
say that's a median or
that's a median household income. Apa Fabian Githinji ametoa
average.
Median is not average. Like, those are two different things. I know they get confused, but average ni, I don't know how to put this. So statistically, average ni wastani, like where 2 plus 3 plus 3
then you
divide by 3.
Okay.
But median is where you throw all of them in a line and then you pick the middle number. Now the difference is an average.
Oh, got it.
Yeah,
okay.
An average, sometimes it's not very good statistically, because when there's one heavyweight on this side, it may skew the average and make you think that people are earning a lot of money. When
Fab Kithinji alisema 90,
so Fab amesema 90, but that's married couples. There's households and married couples. Not all households have married couples. So this might be right for married couples, but households, kuna head of household na kuna ile nyumba iko na head of household peke yake. It could be a mother, a single mother.
Ali, unakoelekea utaanza kuambia kama ni straight au nini case, unaanza kuweka nani?
No, but these are two different numbers. But 84. Now the reason why that number is important, the cost of a median house is about, give and take, the median price of a house in America right now is about $450. So you need to work for around 6 years for you to be able to buy that home cash. Like your 6-year salary will be able to buy that home cash. Now, if we move back to 1980, when none of us was here in the US, some of us were not even born, but when we moved back there, you only needed 2 years of your income, and this is despite the fact that interest rates were very high at that particular time, 13-14%, but with 2 years worth of your income, you could buy a home. So that right there is an indicator where things have gone. You know, the affordability of homes is ridiculous. That has increased the demand for rent, and it has taken rent prices up.
So if I put a yes or no answer, is the American dream dead for African immigrants, Ali?
I would say it's not as alive as it once was. I would not call it dead.
In the ICU?
I would say not ICU, but I would say in the general ward.
OPD.
I would say in the general ward. And the reason I say this, I think one mistake that sometimes is made, we like amplifying certain stories. So there's certain, and we like amplifying extremes. We'll amplify the stories of those who are very successful, and then there's a tendency to think that most people are up there. Then there's also an amplification on the other side of the people who are homeless and the people who are not doing well. And all this, the super successful and the ones who are homeless, those are all outliers. But those are the stories that are amplified. But average middle 90% is where sometimes there's no, how do I put it? There's not quite a lot of honesty. You know, like in the fact that, you know, like you have people who are struggling with cash flow, you know, like just meeting day-to-day bills. Because of course, on the tab of an African immigrant, there's something called black tax. Now, your black tax, Tanzania sijui, but Kenya, we have numbers. Kenyans, for the most part, will send between 5% to 20% of their gross annual income to remittances in Kenya. And majority of the remittances are not going to investment. They're not going towards activities that are making money.
Nenda kukulwa.
Yeah, they're going to pay school fees, medical bills. Na hiyo kukulwa, hiyo nitumie 2K urgently. Yeah. You know, like that.
Or Mosh,
yeah,
is the American dream dead for the African immigrants?
I wouldn't say it's dead. I'd just say it's different. And different based upon what I saw coming in and what it is now. Probably for somebody who is sitting at home in Kenya, who sees that they don't have anywhere else to go in terms of there's no income, they don't have any money coming in, or they were what should I say, they were let go, pesa haingi, you know, hizi cuts za NGOs zimekuja zikawa affect.
Wow.
Coming to America for them is the dream, because now it opens the doors, because that door is just not there for them. So I think it depends on the context of the person with who you're talking to. So, but me looking at it from where I am now and what I saw, the dream, it has changed. Mm-hmm. It's not dead, it has changed. So I'll give you an example. I'll say that there's people who I know who could possibly be sitting right now at a job where they're making maybe 200-300K a month. But when they look at kukatwa taxes, kukatwa sijui sako, sijui kulipia mtoto shule, medical, sijui nini, all sorts of different other things zinakatwa, hiyo hela ambaye anachukua na rudi nayo nyumbani, maybe ndiye anagonga nayo 120. Na pengine alikuwa anaingisha 250-300. So for them, mtu kama huyu mwambie aje America, atasema, you know what, I'm gonna drop that job in a heartbeat. And they'll come and get on a plane to come here for that dream. Their dream is basically asisumbuke, hela zake zote zinaenda kulipa ushuru ama kulipia watu sako ama kulipa nini na madeni and so on and so forth, you know. Na mtu ambaye anatengeneza hela hivyo anaangaliwa ni kama yeye sasa ndio yeye ndio mfalme, yeye ndiye anafungulia watu milango, na yeye mwenyewe hajiezi, though hela zinaingia, hajiezi kwa sababu za tabu za wale wengine. So mtu kama huyo kumuuliza American Dream, atakwambia ndio, let me afford to just buy a ticket, all I need to do is buy a ticket and come to America. Lakini mtu ambaye ashaingia, yuko hapa na ameona, amekaa hapa miaka 5, amekaa hapa miaka 6, miaka 7, ataangalia vitu na macho zingine za, tuseme hata macho za upande. You know, you look at things very, very differently. And that's why answering that question with a certainty, there is no certainty to that question. I would venture to say that the dream is not dead, it has just shifted. And you have to understand what the shift is so that you shift with it. Otherwise, you'll be left behind.
All right, the number to call is 2026834570. Press *5 to speak. I think 𝒂𝐚𝐺 will also answer the question that Bandio asked. You know, like, is the dream, you know, like, for the Africans, the American dream for the African immigrant, is it dead or is it still up and living? And 𝒑𝒑 anasema the American dream is thinning like catching a catfish in Nairobi River. Many people are just existing at the moment. And I think it's good to have some honesty. Now, after 𝒂𝐚𝐺 gives his view, I have a definition of success. And I think also it is important for people, because success might be different for different people. Kuna mtu kuweza kulipa bili ya maji, kulipa, you know, like the water bill, and having a car. To someone, that might be, you know, like success beyond any measure. But I think, you know, like that's the next thing that I want us to talk about, what we see as success. But 𝒂𝐚𝐺, back to Bandio's question, tell us whether you think the African dream is still alive. And to those who are tuned in, please type in and let us know, is the American dream for the African immigrant, for the average African immigrant here in the US, is it still alive? Is it dead? Or where exactly is it? Please type up and let us know. I can see 𝐂𝐚𝐺 tuned in all the way from Houston, Texas. Please let us know. So 𝒂𝐚𝐺, kazi kwako. Where is the American dream for the African immigrant?
I think depending from which lens you look at from, depending on your lens, there's a guy whose American dream is just having a single family home, 2-door garage, which he has, and he's okay. And there's some people who look at that and they're like, you know what, I'll never make it. Yeah. I'll never make it there. Because I think sometimes we sort of try to measure ourselves too against someone. So Ali has that house he got in 2019. If I don't get to Ali's level or status, or I don't get what he has, then kuna kasoro. I think sometimes we gauge, the mistake we make is we compare ourselves to others. Mm-hmm. And comparing ourselves to others, then that from that lens we will gauge ourselves as either tuko mbele
or tuko nyuma. Yep.
So
we are anywhere close.
Okay. So interesting perspective. I think, you know, like based on what 𝒂𝐚𝐺 has said, kuna hiyo hatari ya kwanza kujilinganisha na wengine. Bandio amefika hapa, kwa hivyo pia mimi lazima niwe nimefika hapo, la sivyo mimi sijafaulu, bado sijafuzu.
But yeah, kuna hiyo hatari pia kuangalia.
Let me give an example. Give an example.
Yes, 𝒂𝐚𝐺.
Kenyans are notorious for not only comparing but trying to emulate what somebody does. So I'll give an example. Ali starts a car transport business. Mm-hmm. Wanaona kuna kamuku kanaingia. Mm-hmm. Everyone now wants to do that. They copy paste. They do not. And the reason I'm saying this is because I've seen it. Like nimeiona, Ali starts a business, but he has probably been working on getting that dually business, because maybe he started with a tow truck, or he started working with, you know, he got a tow truck. He leased a tow truck, and then he was delivering, you know, picking up cars or whatever, and then he would hustle. Maybe it took him 3, 4, 5 years before he could get that dually or whatever. Then he could be able to transport as many cars. 𝒂𝐚𝐺 comes and sees Ali with a dually. 𝒂𝐚𝐺 now wants to get that dually. He goes and leases or buys a dually like at 450,000, or maybe 120,000, and employ somebody. Ali has been driving that dolly, is driving that dolly. A lot of, and I'm sure you guys have heard this, how many nurses have bought trucks?
Yeah, or started IUL business.
IUL businesses. So what I'm saying is we copy and paste. We do not, and it's actually, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I think that comparison is just a smidget of the bigger picture, where we, for us to be considered the American dream or successful, I want what Ali has, or what Bandio has, or what Omosh has. Back to you in the studio.
Okay, asante sana Mike. Your comparison ugonjwa iko sana, and I think part of it, especially coming from Kenya, may have something to do in how there was ranking in everything. These are the best schools, number 1, number 2, number 3. Even school kila term, number 1 to number last. So I think that's something that was ingrained in us, that we consider success not being able to do whatever I wanted to achieve, but it's doing better than the other person. So unaweza kuwa umeperform vizuri sana, but because you are number 9 or number 10 in class, unakuja unasomewa nyumbani because you are not number 1. Not that you did not perform well, and maybe even difference kati yako na number 1 ni kidogo sana, but that's part of the problem. There's a silent majority, who's not being so silent on YouTube. Silent majority anasema, why do you think we owe you anything? American dream dead for Americans to support those entering. 190 countries on earth to go elsewhere. If we are all equal, fix your country. Coming here means you are a quitter and failure. So silent majority, please give us a call. 202-683-4570.
Actually, I think I
press
like
star
it.
5 to speak. Yeah.
I like silent majority.
I also like silent majority. Silent majority.
That's kind of challenge that we want to hear.
Yes. So your challenge, silent majority, we would love to hear you articulate it now verbally. Now,
202?
Yeah. 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. Hapa Drew Kimani on Facebook anasema the African dream is still alive as long as going home is still not a better. The African dream is still alive as long as going home is still not a better option.
Yeah.
Until Mambo Home becomes more attractive, have steady electricity and running water is a dream.
I totally agree.
Okay.
About the running water and the electricity, or until things improve?
we go back to the same thing that I go back to what we say, your mental picture, your expectations. There's this little saying, the expectation is mother of bitching, right? Kwamba ukiexpect this, utaanza kumeasure from there. Kuna watu wameacha wake zao kwa sababu alikuwa anafikiri kwamba nikiwa na mke, she's supposed to do these 10 things. Na yule mke anafanya 7. Anampuuza na kwenda kuchukua side chick kwa sababu ya zile 3. Akimwacha yule mwanamke, anampata mwanaume mwingine. Yule mwanaume anasema, huyu mwanamke mimi nataka nifanye vitu 5. Yule mwanamke anafanya the very same 7 things. Mwanaume anasema, this woman is above and beyond.
Yes.
Aliyebadilika sio mwanamke.
Kama ule wa Coldplay.
There we go. Kwa hiyo hapa the issue is, what is American dream?
Yeah.
Ulikuja na ipi? Are you evolving with it? Because I think sometimes kulikuwa kuna zama, American dream has been since whatever, but the American dream in the 60s, it may not be the same as the 180s, and it's still the same as of now. Are you evolving with it, or are you stuck with it? Sawa. Ukiangalia zile human needs at this point, ukimchukua mtu Gaza, you're here. We talk about this when people say, I was so poor that I used to sleep in gari.
My car, yes.
I used to sleep in my car. Yeah.
And back home, having a car.
Yeah, that's already.
So if you're telling
rich,
somebody
no matter what,
that, man, I'm over there, I'm surviving because I'm sleeping in my car, I'm like, I want that. Just like what Better Samuel say, that while you're wondering what food to share, the family's worried about the meal to share.
Yeah.
You're worried about the shoes to wear. Kwa hiyo American dreams sometimes, kama alivyosema, it just depends on how much you can stretch to it and what people are going. Kwa sababu dream ya mtu aliyeko Gaza now ni tofauti na mtu aliyeko Kenya now, na tofauti na mtu aliyeko Colorado.
Now, it's interesting, Bandia, you brought that up because unaona these words tunatumia kwa Kiswahili, maskini na fukara. Yeah, so mi najua asili yake kwa Kiarabu, and I don't know whether it's a one-to-one meaning, because sometimes hizi words ambazo ziko extrapolated, sometimes word ya Kiarabu iko na 7 different meanings,
Yes.
and then Kiswahili inachukua tu one out of those 7. But now hiyo fukara na masakin kwa Kiarabu ni 2 categories of people who qualify for zakat, and they're very distinct people. So kwa Kiswahili, I don't know if they're distinct, but from the Arabic language, those are 2 very distinct people. So fukara is universal, meaning this is someone who's so poor that they don't know when they're gonna get their next meal. They're not sure. So huyu hapo anahesabika fukara. Sasa sijui kama Kiswahili ni hivyo hivyo.
Yes.
Alafu sasa masakin ni mtu ambaye ni ana umaskini kulingana na zile desturi za ile nchi ambayo anaishi.
Inahusika.
Sasa kama Marekani unaweza kuwa na gari na bado ukaitwa maskini.
Yes.
Lakini ukiwa Bukoba na una gari,
Hata kama unalala humo.
yeah, na hata kama unalala humo huwezi kuitwa maskini. So I think and part of the reason is because so if you're in Bukoba and you have a car, the bare minimum huwezi qualify for zaka. You cannot qualify for zakat. But if you're in America, you could still have a car and still qualify to receive zakat. So that's a very interesting perspective.
And I think that's why I agree with Omosh that
Yeah.
the dream has shifted.
Yeah.
You know, so many things have shifted here. Akinyi Adoyo anasema the dream is shifting to gather resources and build new bubbles hapa kule.
Wow. And hapa Fabgithinja alisema, in my trade I've experienced families choosing to ignore air conditioning repairs. Prices on materials doubled and labor increased as well as, but paychecks never doubled. Middle class isn't doing good. And AC, I think,
What?
let me tell you, kwa
Iyo
let me
mambo ya
tell you.
AC, I'm still reeling.
So let me tell you, in
2 years later.
in my like in one of my side hustles where I advise people on finances, I've always asked people, give me an example of a real emergency where you will require at least $5,000 within 24 hours. And one of those emergencies that I was able
AC.
to come up with was AC repair.
Under roof.
Yeah, was AC repair. But then kumbuka pia kuna watu ambao wanatoka nchi za joto, but there's no AC.
Correct.
Yeah, there's no AC. So unaona sasa hiyo hapo pia.
But that is how the house is built. You know, our house is built to allow fresh air from outside.
Yes, very
right?
true.
Circulation.
Yes.
And this is why when we were talking about during COVID, that was another conversation. The COVID was there, but it's just our houses were built in a way, and you know, it could be weather, because over there you could just open the door, 12 months a year.
Yeah.
Here is different. It
It's
was tough
different,
in
yeah.
New York because people were living in high rises, and that air was being circulated kwa hiyo
Yeah.
COVID ingeweza, So yes, back then kuna baadhi ya vitu ambavyo they're just the way we built our houses allows hata circulation ya air kutoka nje, hata kama una hela. If you go to places like Dodoma and Singida, where it's very, very hot, it's almost like Sahara, it's like desert-like. But they use what we call tembe. The entire house is built out of the clay, and
Yes.
some, and what that does, it's just like the same thing
for
for
the conductor of heat.
and not only that, it's
Yeah.
just it gives you the opposite of what's outside. It's the same. It's the clay pot that we
Yes.
use for water, right? Ule mtungi wa maji.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what happened when it's 100 degrees nje ukienda ukichota, it feels like it's imetoka
Yes.
maji kutoka kwenye fridge.
Kabisa, yeah.
Because what it does, it just gives you the opposite ya ile iko nje.
Yeah.
So because there's no cloud cover at night, when it's very cold, mle ndani kunaendelea kuwa warm, and na hawana madirisha, hawana nini. That's purposely done so kwa sababu ya kuadapt to the environment.
To adapt to the environment.
So
yeah.
yule, the very same person ukimtoa sasa hivi, ukimtoa Sahara Desert, ukimleta hapa, ata struggle, not because amebadilika, but environment na namna ya kuweza kuadapt, kwa sababu at this point tuko ndani. Unaweza ukaingia kwenye ofisi, you could walk all day na hujaona dirisha, lakini bado maisha yako the same.
Okay. All right. The number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Please call us and tell us about your experience with this issue that we're talking about of is the American dream is the American dream dead for African immigrants, or is it still alive and kicking? Mike Madhenge hapa YouTube anasema, for me, this thing about the American dream cannot be put in in one pot and boiled.
Yes.
Someone's dream may be to be able to support watu nyumbani who probably have nothing. I know that too well. And then I have 𝒔𝒊𝒅𝒄𝒂𝒏. 𝒔𝒊𝒅𝒂𝒏 is tuned in from Edmonton, Canada. So
Wow.
Thank you so much. That's our first first person from Edmonton, Canada. So tell us how the weather is in Edmonton, Canada, 𝒔𝒊𝒅𝒂𝒏. 𝒔𝒊𝒅𝒂𝒏 says Gen Z dreams may be different from our dreams, especially for us who've been here longer. Dreams have to be reshaped, and one of those dreams that we talk about is home ownership, and we're gonna come to talk about that a bit later. But right now, real quick, I wanna maybe start with you, Bandio. What's your definition of success? Like ukifika kigezo flani, you will have you'll consider yourself a success. Ama, are you already a success? What's your minimum? What's your irreducible minimum for what success now within your own context? And then I'm going to come to Omosh, and I'll come to you, Uno. And then I will talk about my version of success.
That's a little emotional thing to talk about. But what is success? Just like anything else, success to me depends on where you come from. Your history also, is part of it, and where you're going. For me, I don't like to talk about this so much, but I think you all know now. I mean, we've been talking about my issues and with my back and my neck. But in 1999, when I was involved in that car crash in Nakuru, right, bus crash, after that, I don't look at life the same way, right? Seeing 20-some people laying there, we were in the same bus, right? But you're going to the theater for operation, and they're going to the mortuary. To me, redefine what life was, right? And 18 years later, I woke up in so much pain, and sometimes I couldn't even wake up because I got disconnected from my waist down, all this stuff. So success now is not really into what I'm making, but if I'm able to get up in the morning, and this is just, I'm talking about daily success, right?
Yeah.
Wake up in the morning, go do what I'm supposed to do, legal stuff, and come back in one piece.
Success.
I consider success,
Okay,
because that was like the third accident
Mm-hmm.
I was involved, seeing people dying, and I survived.
Okay.
Right? So that is success. And so it's going to be different from one person to another. But sometimes for me, I learned not to be a materialistic. If I can push somebody, to me that's success. But at the same time, just I have to make sure that I can live without, I don't want to struggle. All right.
Okay.
So to have basic needs, to me, that's one thing.
Okay.
But on top of that, it's just to be able to support those that I care
Okay.
for. Right. So have enough to kuendesha maisha yangu na wale na wajali.
Okay.
That's success. But at the same time, nikisha kwamba na roof over my head,
Yes.
na chakula.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not struggling about that. Zile basic needs za kila siku, naweza nikabadilisha chakula, naweza nikafanya nini, niko sawa. But for those that I really, really care about, the least I can do, kwa kile unachokitaji I can do. That will be success. Sio collection ya vitu per se. Sidhani kama nyumba ni success. And again, you remember that. Let me play this, because I want to talk about this guy here. This guy here. What is it?
You're listening to the One Mic Show.
You remember this guy?
Yes.
Junior.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right?
Alikuja hapa.
Alikuja hapa, and
Yeah.
we'll talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So alikuwa naumwa, and then nikampeleka nyumbani. That was the 23rd, and then 24th December.
What year
Christmas.
was this again?
2018.
Okay. Wow.
26th nikaenda nyumbani kwake, and I found him dead.
Wow.
Right? Mimi ndo nilikuwa nimefungua mlango, and it was there, and probably I was the closest person mamake akuwepo. Nobody was here, it was me. Lakini nilimkuta na nothing ambacho amenunua, kwa sababu alikuwa amevaa shati ya kazini, which was free.
Mm-hmm.
Everything yakuwa nacho was free. So kuanzia pale kwangu mimi maisha was nothing ambacho tuna collect, because to me was a reminder kwamba vyote utafanya nini, utaviacha. It's more about una invest nini katika maisha ya watu wengine. So niliamua kwamba maisha, nafikiri success kwangu ni kuwa kama jua, that naweza nikamulika kwa watu wengine, lakini sio kama mshumaa kwamba ninamulika kwa wengine wakati mimi mwenyewe nafanya nini,
Unagiza. Okay. Anaitwa Mubelo wa Bandio, Baba Paulina. hizo nyingine ni hata tueleza baadaye. Wow, sasa Bandio ametuanzishia hiyo na high note mpaka mpige university blast.
You should have asked him this question in English.
But okay, in Duluo, tell us, what is your definition of success? From what I gathered about Bandios, you know, like being healthy, being able to impact, you know, like those who are close to him and those he cares about, and having enough to be able to sustain himself without struggling. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean owning a home, but just having enough to be able to sustain himself comfortably without struggling. Hapo ni success.
That's minimum. You know, above and beyond, I will appreciate.
Above and beyond, you'll appreciate.
But I will never. My point is, I will never ever complain. I got to the point that I was, like I say, there was a time that I could not even feel anything below my waist.
Wow.
To the point that if I could feel pain on my heels, I'll be like, at least my nervous system is working. So I know not everybody's to that point.
Yeah.
Lakini nimefikia sehemu ambayo hata nikisikia maumivu namshukuru Mungu kwamba my nervous system is what?
Is
working.
Yes.
Right? So and that's how I look at life. Kwa hiyo I love, ningependa kuishi maisha ambayo isisumbuki.
Yeah.
Lakini sitaki kujilimbikizia mambo.
Yeah, and you know, it was interesting, the other day recently, the former president of Nigeria passed away. Na watu walikuwa wanaona picha ile mazishi yake. Unajua mazishi za Kiislamu vile unaenda vile tu ambavyo ulivyokujwa, unafunikwa na shuka. So people were asking, ni kwa nini, you know, like he was a whole president, why is he not being given a burial befitting a king? Ile pale, it's supposed to be a lesson that each one of us to tender will go 6 feet under, and we'll go with absolutely nothing.
I'm not sure if there are pictures out there, but Omar Ali Juma used to be a vice president of Tanzania. Now this is when I learned kwamba kwenye msikiti wake wa nyumbani, kwa sababu jeneza ile inayotumika ni ya pale. Actually ilikuwa vile ilikuwa cover ilikuwa imechoka, ina matundu, but they were like, we are not changing because of the person.
No.
Kama angekuwa anajua angenunua nyingine.
Yes.
So we will use this no matter what. Now the other picture watu walivyoona moyo wa Mugabe umeingizwa kwenye cargo plane. Unajua? That's when they realize kwamba you know, kujilimbikizia maybe so success. But anyway,
all this that we're seeing here is temporary. Wow, that was a bit deep. Almost fire.
Wow. So before I answer that, let me just read this. And I thought it was a little poignant going on with the dream. So, and the dream for many African immigrants was to help provide for folks back home. Remittances from the diaspora is at an all-time high, so the dream may still be alive.
True.
So I thought it was poignant to say that, just, you know, based upon the way we were looking at it. So now we go back to measures of success, or what would I consider success? For me, success is probably all the things that Bandio has said, because all those things are things that we value and or value. But for me, where I am in my life, I say that as long as I can breathe and I can walk and I can work and I can provide for myself to the point where I can purchase and or go get anything that I want without having to come to Ali to get it for me, I consider that a success. All the other things are bonuses, according to me. And this, again, is based upon my experiences of life and what I have gone through in this country. You know, literally to the point where I would venture to say that, you know, some of us came to this country such a long time ago that if we were to start measuring, if I told somebody I came to this country when the dollar and the shilling, it was $1 to
20 bob.
To 20 bob.
Yeah.
I think I might even still have, I have to look for it. I think I still have the receipt. Ile nilienda nayo kuchukua visa. Kwa nini? Kwa embassy.
What?
I think I still have it. Because you know that time they printed it out for you. It was like a printout. Ni kama ile
it was so long hata hakuwa natoa receipt.
So they printed that out for you, and we had stamps on our passports, right? And then it was like a stamp, which mine, in fact, it was a stamp. It was given for X. Then coming into the country, the Jama erased it. he erased, and he put his own date. Like that.
Wow.
Yeah, yani that's what the guy, unajua hii ya sahi unapewa, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
Uo Jama ali erase na aka limit. akasema only valid for this nakatoa. That's the clout that those jamas had, and that's what they were able to do back then. But anyway, I digress. So like I said, success for me is those things that I have said, and I did mention that all the other things that Bandit has said. So that doesn't, somebody might say, well, you're not counting family. They're counted in because Bandit mentioned them already in his thing. But for me, now nitaongezea hapo pale nasema I want it to be such that ikiwa kasa hii nikitoka hapa nasema nataka niende ninunue chakula, I have the ability to do that. Nataka niende ninunue nini, whatever it is that niko na haja ya kuwa nayo, I should be able to go get it and or purchase it or whatever the case may be, whether it's via negotiation, whatever it is. If I have the ability to do that and get it to me, I count that as a success, because there are those who don't have it. And then going back to this thing of remittances from the diaspora at an all-time high, right? And that we are the ones who are providing for folks. So it's like, if I'm busy providing and I can't provide for myself, then how do I set myself up so that I can provide for you? Meaning I have to take care of me first before I provide for you. You know, the same concept of being in the plane, and you're told always wear the face mask, wear the oxygen, or put it on yourself first, even if you have a child.
Yes, before
put it
the
on
child.
yourself first, and then is when you can take care of the other people, because then now you're breathing, and even if this person may be knocked out, at least ukimwekea hii nini mask, then anaweza pumua. And that's basically for me the whole, you know, success thing is like, I have to sort out me first, then I can think of sorting out everybody else, and that success I'm measuring by having the ability to sort myself out in whichever way it is.
Okay, all right. You know, like very, very interesting perspective, you know, like especially your example where you put the mask on yourself first before you do it to the next person or even to your child. I think that's a very important analogy that sometimes people have difficulty comprehending, because there's sometimes guilt whereby kuna especially wale watu walichangiwa wakitoka, so there's always guilt whereby anaona
your pressure ya kuchangiwa. Man, I can only imagine. I can only imagine.
So and then you know, like there's some comments coming in before we go to OneMic. Uniso is tuned in from NC. Karibu sana Uniso. And then let me see. Pistora anasema Valentine. Pablo anasema yote ni vanity. Valerie anasema pia, wow, very powerful. Success is leaving a legacy. That was, I think, towards what Bandio was saying. And then Pablo pia anasema, on that Bandio note, the show should just end. Meli itie nanga. Pap.
Pablo unatuharibia show.
So sawa. So very, very interesting definitions of success. Let's go to OneMic. What do you consider success? You know, like the bare minimum and the above and beyond. What do you consider success, OneMic?
The bare minimum. I think Bandio said it very well, because there are sometimes we look at people and we think they're successful, alafu unasikia amejimanyuria, you know, amejitoa maisha. What comes to mind?
CNN?
No.
Anthony Bourdain.
Anton Bourdain.
Yeah, Anthony Bourdain. Yeah, who people thought he was
Robin Williams.
Robin Williams. Yeah. Those are the two that I'm
Robin
like, wow.
Williams.
And I think there are many that we may not have been told about.
Yes.
Kumbuka
So,
ule de Maliruka kutoka in New York, and then was what was she?
Oh, she was a model, I think, or something of that sort.
Yeah, from like, I don't know, was it the 30th or 40th floor?
Yeah.
I'm like, geez.
So for many, those people were successful.
Absolutely.
In their eyes, they were successful. However, even with that success, then what is that type of success with all the money, but then you're in turmoil mentally? So success, at some point, there has to be a mental component. You have to be mental clarity. There has to be something. You have to be sane. You have to be comfortable. You have to be appreciative. My mom always tells me, count your blessings. You know, name them one by one. You can't. you're able to wake up, you're able to blink, you're able to move your fingers, you're able to smell, you're able to count, you're able to walk, you're able to pee, you're able to take a dump, like small things. You get a cut, your body is able to heal, your blood clots. Like when you look at the small things, you're like, you know what? I'm grateful. There are many who have rested, but we're still above ground. Is that success? So I guess on the bare, and then there's also what my brother Dombolo likes to say, social capital, because it's important. There's a success where you can relate with people. I've been with my brothers here in a studio for well over 10 plus years. I've known, doing the show, but I've known them for longer than that. That to me is also success, because we've got camaraderie, tuko na brotherhood, tuko na banter, and there's that. There's your social capital. You're able to wake up, you're able to go to a job. Jobs are not guaranteed, but you're able to go, you clock in, unatandika job, unapata paycheck, unalipa mortgage, rent, wherever you are. Is that success? That could be success, because you're able to do that. So bare minimum is you can wake up, like, and I think we can take it down to Bandio and say, you know what, him not being able to feel, but if he felt pain, nervous system inafanya kazi. So it's I guess it's from the different lens, but bare minimum for me, I think, is the small things that you're able to, not the big things, the small things. You're able to see, you can drive, you're alert, you can eat, you can smell, you can shake hands, you can laugh at a joke, you can think, you can process, you're able to, and even having kids, it's just, you can call that success, because kuna watu hawana ability. Right?
Yeah, it's a blessing.
Yeah, it's a blessing, and it's not that it's just that you make do with what you have. So kuna watu, because kids, by they come and go. Sasa unabaki hapo na mama watoto. Sasa mnaangaliana hivi, alafu mna either mnabishana ama mnaendelea kuishi maisha. Is that success? Of course. If it's not successful, okay, sawa. You adjust accordingly, and you manage my challenges. So it's I think it's not monetary or having a big house. I don't consider that success, but I think success is just in your day-to-day life. Are you the sun? Are you the candle? Back to you in the studio.
All right, asante sana Uno Mike. The number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Of course, the topic of the day is the American dream. Is it dead for the African immigrant, or is it still alive? So very interesting tangent that the show took, like when it came to definitions of success. I have to say, like maybe I had my assumptions on how people would answer this question, but I'm personally, very impressed. And of course, these are my brothers. I've known them for a long time, so I'm on one side, I'm not quite surprised, but at the same time, I think this country has conditioned us so much to think of success as financial success. Yes, we're going to get to Mika shortly. Mika, just one moment, tutakufikia hapo. We'll also want to get your definition of success. But I'm saying, it took a very interesting tangent in that people are seeing it beyond, like mapambo ya dunia, hayata dunia, mapambo ya dunia. People are seeing it beyond that, which is a very good thing, because I think especially the world in which we're living today with social media and all these other places that emphasize financial success, whereby if you're financially successful, you will get away with murder, you will get away with so many things just because you have that one very narrow vision of success. So that's quite interesting. Also, some comments were coming in here as we were speaking about success. Fab Githinji, Fab Githinji, please call us. You have some very good nuggets here. We'd love to hear your voice. Number is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Fab anasema the dream has been affected by the 254 and African and American economy. Our remittances to Kenya has increased a result of inflation and no jobs. This has a direct impact on our savings. Actualizing the dream isn't reachable, which is fairly true. The more money we are sending for basic stuff in Kenya, the less we have, like to take care of our families here. And then Fab also says, in this America, we can get caught up chasing the dollar and we forget ourselves. Take a day off and do what isn't your everyday doing. Something that resets you, which is one thing that I really love about the One Mic Show. All of us really love about it. This resets us. It's one of those things that is not an easy thing to be doing every week, but at least, I always feel recharged after doing the show and ready for the weekend and ready for the following week. Controm Kenya Panasema, the day I moved out of Kijiji to Gigi was a success. Diaspora topped the cake.
I like that.
And the reminiscence of that one, and remembering that reminiscence of that one move, everything else is a blur. And again, yeah. So I think it's important, especially mtu ambaye anakumbuka kule alikotoka. So they're like, this already, it's a very big success.
Ameomoka.
Considering where I came from, which is a very good thing to appreciate. So I don't know whether nikuje first ama kwanza tumsikize Mika. And then
tumsikize Mika alafu wewe ndio utafunga.
Yes, then mimi ndo nitafunga. Bado hujafika closing day, but wacha tumsikize Mika first on his definition of success. Mika, it was actually his day off today, but I think Mika is one of those alienda day off yake akaboeka kona hebu acha nirudi kwa One Mic Show nione kunaendaje huko. Mika, twende kazi.
Sio kama hajarejeshwa na Brown is huyu.
Pengine alipigiwa simu na HR.
Ama HR ilimpigia simu.
Walimwambia kuna vile hiyo time ulikuwa nafikiri uko nayo and haujai earn. So urudi tu.
Let's go to Mika. Mika, twende kazi. Mika going once.
Amelala huyu.
Mika
mute Mika
going twice.
Umemute.
Ama ni sisi tumemute?
Hapana.
Hebu ngoja tuangalie.
Ako ndani ya Zoom.
Amechomoka.
Okay. We're gonna get back to Mika. Mika is trying to multitask. Anafanya whatever he's supposed to be doing on his day off, but he's still missing the One Mic Show and wants to be part of it. But so I'm gonna take a slightly different take because we were doing the bare minimums, like if I have this minimum, at least this I can consider a success. And yes. I will be in agreement with a lot of the contributions that have been made by the rest of you. But the one thing that I'll also say, my definition of success has also been taking a shift over time. And part of it has been necessitated by, of course, life experiences, like changing aspects in life. Bandio was talking about the accident he was involved in that made him see things differently. Yep. There was also a point in my life, not as serious as Bandio, that I had a back issue, out of the blue. Unajua ile you've always been healthy, then one day, umelala tu hivi, and you notice that you can't get up. Yep. And there was like some nerve damage that I had that it took a lot of rehabilitation to be able to. That made me also see things very differently, where like one moment you are happy-go-lucky, jumping up and down, running up and down, and then all of a sudden you've been arrested. You can't do simple things, kuvaa socks, kufunga shoeless, ama hata kusimama. Like there was a day when I was at work at the height, I just called my manager from the car na nikamwambia I was out on the parking lot, nimeshindwa kusimama kurudi, nikamwambia I can't go back.
Not to hijack your point.
Yeah.
Mimi nilipopata when I had my surgery, that was 2018.
Yeah.
Right? So they had to go through my throat to get to my back there, to replace the disc there. So they had to move everything here. And that's when I realized how many times we swallow saliva. Kumeza mate was one of the hardest things to do. I never thought ilikuwa inabidi ni accumulate enough to go.
So when you do it once.
You had to be very conservative because it was so painful. But I didn't know how many times. kama in a day unameza mate, and from that day hata kumeza mate to me became something kwamba
and those are some of the signs unaambiwa. Those are some of the small signs to show you, not to get theological, but those are some of the signs to show you that God exists. Because angalia, something as simple that you take for granted.
I used to wake up at night ili nimeze mate. It was that painful kwamba nikimeza, like it'll wake me out. That's how painful it was. But then I was like, all this time I remember there was and again I know utaendelea, but this old man, he was in his 70s, alilazwa hospitali hapa pa Marekani. And then alipotoka ikaja bill, na ile bill include oxygen ambayo ametumia for that time, for those few days. Na akaangalia for those few days ni kiasi gani amelipa, akaangalia na age alionayo ambayo amelive oxygen free, ana breathe it.
I know.
He kept real.
Pumua hii hewa ambayo
tunapumua, in and out.
This is success.
The free stuff,
yes.
Success.
So again, not to diminish, ataki kurudi kusema kwamba, but I wish with everything that we're going through tungekuwa na another lens ya kuangalia what if. Mimi binti yangu alipokuwa mdogo sana tulipelekwa John Hopkins, right? Na wakati tuko John Hopkins tukaambiwa kwamba aitakiwa aende akafanye test for cystic fibrosis or something, right? Where they have to take the very early sweat. It's like the morning, the first sweat ya asubuhi. Na tuko pale John Hopkins Hospital. Tumekaa hivi, nikataka kutumia restroom, wakaniambia nenda this wing. Na wakati naingia, it was written cancer wing, right? Na kulikuwa kuna watoto wadogo, and I'm like, I've done everything, I've cheated, I've stole, nimeiba, nimefanya hivi, nimepiga, nimedanganya, but still I'm here. Yet hawa watoto walifanya nini? So you come to realize kwamba sometimes you know, like what is his name, I think it was Peter Tosh, say you never miss your water until your well runs dry.
Kabisa.
And that's I don't want people to get there, lakini ningetamani kama wangeweza ku appreciate maisha katika namna tofauti. Anyway, back to you, Ali.
Again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Number to call 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Again, you know, like we're looking at different definitions of success, and and now it's making you know, like it's making me appreciate, you know, like the things that I have that sometimes maybe it would be better if I could get to this level or that level or that level, but you're not appreciating all these other things that you're enjoying
small steps
for free that other people are either paying so much money for or not getting them. So for me, the different twist that I want to take on this, before that, let me read a few comments here. Uniso anasema, success according to me, you're healthy, have enough savings that can sustain you for at least 6 months. Okay, I like that, without working. You have a decent house back home that you can occupy if you found back. And then hapa Umosh pia yuko pia hapo ndani YouTube anasema, so for some we say we are successful by surviving. And then Jakarabondi anasema, great show today, a much welcome from the toxicity of Kenyan politics. Jakarabondi huyo hapo ameingia. So Jakarabondi, so maybe tell us your definition of success. We're talking
number, maybe apige simu, mpe number.
Yes, so number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. We're talking about the American dream. Is it dead for African immigrants? And we're now seeing different definitions of success, which is very good and very interesting. And then hapa Kontrom Kenya, Fabgithinja nasema, success is when you realize money will never be enough. Happiness is key. Figure out your equilibrium, and that's the difficult step.
Life skill leo.
Yes.
Ali,
sasa pia mimi mnipatie chance yangu ya kutoa success yangu.
No. Before you share your point, I need to say, I really, you know, my mom always tells me, like, pesa hazitawahi ever tosha. Ever. But I also wanted to joke and say Jakarabondi's version of success is not talking politics. Carry on. Over to you.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
So if Jakarabondi's form of success is not talking politics, that means so far he has not been successful, because he talks politics every day.
Ndio maana anasema toxicity ya hiyo Kenyan politics leo hatujakuwa nayo na mahali tunaenda yeye anaona hii.
Yes.
So this is success.
This is success.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Jakrabondi,
yes.
Let's hear your voice. 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. So back to myself. I'm the only one who's not given my definition of success. And like I said, mine has evolved over time. And like I've always acknowledged, I've never had, I never experienced financial difficulty, like when I was still dependent on my parents in Kenya and by family. My first struggle came to be here in the US. And me appreciate coming to the US because maybe I would have never known there's something called struggling in life. So to me, I actually considered that a success. Like Mimi, I've gone through so many things in this United States of America, considering where I came from, where I had not experienced anything. So when it comes to, especially issues that are considered financial extremes. For example, I've been through, of course, all of us have been through unemployment. So unemployment, I would not consider that such a big deal.
Kuna jamaa hapa hajaenda, hajaona unemployment.
Yeah, but I
kuna
think
mse mwingine hapa hajaona
kuna mtu hajaona, but I think for the most part, most of us have at some point experienced unemployment.
Yes.
So I don't consider that a big deal. But I have had a vehicle repossessed. I don't know whether I don't know whether anyone has ever experienced that, but it's very demeaning.
Let me tell you, hiyo kitu is like it's the ni kama mtu amekuja akaiba.
Ni kama umekatwa miguu.
Ameiba kutoka kitanda yako.
Yes,
ni kama unalala, amechukua kitanda na akakuacha kama unalala na ukaamka ukapata umelala kwa carpet ama kwa floor.
Yes, ni kama umekatwa miguu. Mimi, I'll tell you something, I've even
ilichukuliwa wapi?
Ilichukuliwa nikiwa nyumbani.
Kwa sababu sisi jamaa ilichukuliwa akiwa kazini.
No, they come wherever.
That's even worse.
They come wherever they can, right?
Yeah.
But the worst part, I don't think is them even taking the car, is sasa wanarudi, wakishachukua gari, sasa wanarudi ndio wanakwambia, by the way, tumechukua gari yako.
They didn't. Sisi ilikuwa ni muda wa kuondoka, akaona tu zile marks za tow truck wakati ina ride kuondoka.
Yeah. Okay. So mimi they were good. They actually called me and they told me exactly what they were coming to do. So they're like, to make it easier, just give us the keys.
Now,
so they're like, give us the keys. Nikamwambia ngojeni nende nikalete, but sasa unajua ile sasa unadilidali, unakaa unafikiria, like I spent like 10 minutes. Oh, by the time nimekuja chini kuna space. So the car imeenda, ikona vitu vyangu bado ndani. And
which means you have to go to another location to get your stuff.
You have to go to another very far away.
Normally they're not close. They're like 45 minutes, even an hour away.
So but let's not get distracted with that. But Sondo nasema, personally, I appreciate going through that experience because it taught me a lesson that I would never have learned. Not stopping there, me have been evicted. I don't know whether kama kuna mtu hapa shai kwa evicted. I think kwa hii group I might be the only one with the experience of being evicted.
I was thrown out. I don't know if that counts.
So I mean,
yes, I was evicted.
This is when Michelle Martin
I was evicted. I was actually evicted bila kale ka notice.
So eviction, my eviction was, it was so na ilikuwa ni time tu tulikuwa tunajua. I don't even know. It was so bad that you could not even tell your friends. But again, looking back, to me that was a success. Na ilikuwa ni ile eviction and I'm glad I wasn't in the house when it happened. I was in between jobs. It was my first day on the new job. So I was like, wacha ni accumulate pesa kidogo, I will continue. Nilikuwa I had already gone through a backlog. So I was like, wacha nianze ku accumulate pesa kidogo and then I will get enough money to pay the backlog.
Ilikuwa evicted kwenye basement yao.
So hii hapa, no, it was actually an apartment. So my first day kwa job, the area that I was living, there's a cousin of mine, like who was also living around the area. Nikapata simu kutoka the husband of my cousin first day, and I almost instinctively, I 100% knew ni kwa nini ananipigia, because it wasn't normal for him to give me a call at that particular time. And you know what he said on the call? Nilikuwa napita hapo karibu na kwako, nikaona vitu nje, ambavyo vinakaa kama vitu vyako. I was like, damn, these guys were fast. I had already gotten those notices, zile za sheriff, zile za all of them. Zote nilikuwa nishapata. Yeah, though the yellow
that yellow paper is not funny.
Paper. Yeah, it's not funny.
It comes after 14 days.
Yeah, so they actually gave me time. But sasa, the one thing that I appreciate is that, because I don't know how it would have been if these people came in while I was in there, nilikuwa nimetoka nimevaa, and I'd gone to my first day of work at this other place.
You're lucky Mika hayupo angesema uko ndani unadinya.
But unaona sasa, I appreciate I appreciate going through that experience, because it also gave me a break. You know, like that new job nilianza, so I was like, okay, now at least easy chapa, I can save this money, and as I try to figure out, you know, like what next. So to me, I think those experiences were very important to me, because it was situations that I never thought I would ever get to from kule ambako nilikotoka. I never thought that one day, and sometimes before that I'd be driving around and you would see, you know, like furniture imetupwa nje.
Yeah.
And then unashangaa, then unajiuliza like how mtu alifikaje mpaka kanini. Yeah, until
you never miss your water.
Yes, until your well runs dry. Yes. So from then it totally shifted my thinking as a human being, and even how I was dealing with other people, and it reset my my definition of success. Now back to, you know, like the definition of success. I mean, of course, at the bare minimum, I'm with all of you. You have your health, you have your family, you have those basic things that make a human being, you know, be a human being.
Yes.
And then of course you can assist without chopping your arm when another person is in distress.
Yes.
Unaweza kumsaidia bila yani you're in that position where you are able
don't lose
to
yourself.
You don't lose yourself. You're able to offer help in whatever small way, but you don't lose yourself.
Yeah.
Now at the bare minimum, that's a success. And part of this also was also informed by you know, as I grew older, I started taking, you know, like the scriptures, the Quran, a bit more seriously, and I would go into detail. You know, like in the Quran, there's some ayahs that talk about fouls. Na kwa Kiswahili kuna neno
ayahs in a
fuzo.
paragraph, right?
Yeah, aya si paragraph per se. Aya ni kama
Verses?
mstari.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a different definition. Aya could be as short as 3 words, and it could be as long as a page.
Okay.
Yeah, it has a very different definition.
So-
But I started taking it a bit more seriously, because they would talk about success, like being in a position, for example, that you can, for example, pay your zakat. You have that minimum amount of wealth that's required to pay zakat, and you can pay this zakat and it can go benefit someone else. That is considered success. When there's that word fauz that's used a lot in the Quran, kwa kufuzu kwa Kiswahili. I think kwa Kiswahili, and these are very interesting because when you learn the root word and the meaning, because in Kiswahili, especially in the Kenyan context, kufuzu is more of to qualify or kufaulu, you know, or kuhitimu to a certain level. But
it's easy to say loosely to qualify.
Yes, to qualify, yes. But sasa fauz inavyotumika katika Kiarabu ya Quran is success. It's a form of success. So you'll always see that, and you see when you look at the different it's been used, you know, dozens of times, and you look at the different definitions of success, it brings you to a very interesting place. Wow. I mean, like, you mean this something as simple as this is considered success. So now, at the bare minimum, for example, avoiding interest. Riba ni kitu ambao tumeharamishwa Waislamu for many reasons. Avoiding it, that's considered success. Avoiding vitu kama zina. Avoiding vitu kama yes, that's considered success. And by the way, you know, like those are things that are very difficult. Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, when you may fail, but that is considered success. Anybody who's able to protect themselves from that is considered success.
Umemwambia zina ajaelewa, so unaona umosha alivyotoa macho hapo.
Yeah,
ndio, and it's me and the rest of the audience who are not zinating.
Okay, so zina is a combination of both adultery and fornication. Yeah, it's a combination of both adultery and fornication. So that's considered success. I know that's a very difficult one, and I know that
My
people
friend,
who are
you're
trying
not
to prove-
successful.
Yeah,
If that's the case.
Ndo nasema it's a very difficult one for most human beings, and to me, or maybe for someone maybe who was doing it frequently but amepunguza sasa, that's also a form of success. That's also a form of success.
I mean, I don't think it's a success. He's just trending towards success.
No, ndo nasema success, these things do not come
Unajua
one
hii
day.
measurement ya success. Sasa ndio, that's why we were
I love
asked
it.
for our own definitions, right?
Unaona hata alcoholism, even
Yes.
alcoholism, mtu ambaye alikuwa anakunywa maybe anakunywa 10 bottles of beer every weekend, but sasa amefika point where anafanya 5. That is some level of success.
Absolutely.
That is some level of success.
Malakul Maut.
So that's malakul maut atakutana na kila nafsi, kullu nafsin dhaikatul maut. Yeah. Kila nafsi itaonja maut. Hiyo hakuna kuavoid. Malakul maut, na ujui malakul maut wako atakuja lini, inaweza kuwa kesho.
It's just about the when and where and how, but the
Yes.
if
It could be when you're 90, yeah. Time ikifika imefika, you know.
When your time is
yes, when the time is there.
I also believe in that.
So back to the definition of success. So I think we've gone through the minimums. To me, where I would consider any hapa nimefika maximum, if God gives me anything beyond this, it would be bonus. When I get to the point where I do not have to work for a living, whereby I'll go to work but by my choice and not because I have to. So to me, that will be the max. And that's to me when I will have enough passive income to be able to take care of the basics that people talk about. To be able to take care of my family. My family has a good life, you know, like the people that are depending on me, you know, like whether here or back home, I can still meet those bare minimums. And on top of that, I don't have to work, you know, like if we want, we can come and do the OneMic show daily. If we want,
but that's work.
Yeah. No, that's that. No,
I mean, you go back to what no, I mean, that's still work, but I think what you define is what we interviewed this lady who was that from Uganda, the comedian
Kansime.
Yeah.
Yes, Kansime, the one who say that you're successful when working is not all about money. It's like the moment you finish doing
Yes.
what you're doing,
Yes.
you feel like you've been paid by that satisfaction that I've completed this.
Exactly. Yeah.
know.
So ndo nasema, when I get to that point whereby if I go to work to my regular place of employment, I'm going there because I want to and not because
If I don't
have
show
to.
up,
And it's not because if I don't show up, I'm not going to be able to pay my mortgage,
Yeah.
or I'm not going to be able to pay my rent. So to me, when
Mosh is smiling.
when-
What's
when-
the comment?
you know, to me, when I get to that point, that will be that's already me already where I am. I already consider it a bonus. But if I get to that point, that will be extra credit, and anything that comes beyond that now becomes an extra bonus. You know, and that's where, you know, like because I think we live in a world where a lot is tied towards financial success, because it's been changed to individualism, capitalism, rather than being in a community. Remember back in the day, your insurance was your community. Wewe ulikuwa unajua, even if I cannot go farm, there's people around me who will be able to take care of my food needs na nini. So you're not even sitting there worried, like what will my family eat tomorrow. Mosh wanted to say something that I'm going to go through a few comments here.
This is a comment that I got, which was says married, roof over one's head, health cover, investment, a home to retire to, taproti. So again, success.
Yeah,
that's a measure. You know,
different
success,
definitions.
Yes, different people have nini. And then there was a comment
I knew it.
Well,
hivi ali anataka tuishiaje? We have to share men.
is that wait? Is that a man or a woman saying that?
Well, you can't. It's yours anyway. Don't worry about it.
We have to share men. Hiyo sijaelewa hapo.
Yes, umezungumzia mambo ya mafanikio pamoja na zina.
Adultery, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, naona nasema we have to share men. Is it
huyo ni mwanamke.
Okay.
Sasa
Okay.
ina maana
Yeah.
zina
Okay.
itakuwa-
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but angalia.
A little slow.
No, wait. No, najua it's because of different
Ali
contexts.
ameshaanza kuwa successful, anaachana na kufikiria
No,
hizo.
no, we're looking at different contexts because
Correct.
in a
Yeah.
polygamous situation,
Yes, yes.
you're sharing a man in a successful way. That is success. That is success.
Your
I know
mental picture.
mnaogopa.
I mean, I'm not.
I know ingwenyu mnaogopa kusema.
Well,
but-
hakuna
but you
kuogopa
see-
hapa.
You see the
Polygamy
context.
iende
Yeah.
na ndoa iwe na mkataba. Hakuna mambo ya forever.
Yeah.
Miaka mitatu maximum.
Sasa unaona hiyo hapo sasa. Hiyo hapo
Twende tu.
sasa kwetu hiyo hapo sasa hiyo mambo ya ndoa ya mkataba.
Tutarenew tu
i-
kama leseni ya udereva.
Hiyo hapo hakuna
Kama
ndoa.
insurance.
Ndoa hiyo hapo is for life. But again, these are some of those things that we are talking about.
Hiyo topic tutaizungumza siku nyingine.
Yes, and then the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Hapa
Comments?
Fab anasema unemployment is the leading factor of many entrepreneurs in America. When you are backed to the wall, then you push back and realize how much you have to offer. It happened to me, been 23 years self-employed. Oh, that's amazing.
But yes, kwa sababu I remember one time, was that 2000 and I don't know, when things were not going very well, you know, during layoffs, and I think it was the 2009 or something, right?
Obama time.
Yeah, and
Yes,
then
he just came in, yeah.
at that time I was talking to my friend. I'm like, if they give you 10,000 right now, will you be able to start something? He was like, no, because it was comfortable with what they was making. And I'm like, if we lose our job now, they give you 5,000. I was like, oh, I will make it work. You know? So unemployment will force him to use 5,000 to do what he wouldn't if he had 10,000 while he's still, you know, on the opportunity of co-employed. So yeah, I totally agree, Kwamba. You know, like what Bob Marley said, that you utajua how strong you are when being strong is the only thing that's left. All right? When you lose your job, hata kama uko na 200, utajua jinsi ya kumanage my challenges.
Absolutely.
Lakini ukiwa una couple of thousands, hiyo
Yeah.
200 ya hata utaiona kama inaweza kutosha for lunch.
By the way, me I've always said, unajua kama back in Kenya, the best financial managers ni hawa watu ambao wana earn pesa ndogo sana, lakini unamwona na watoto 4, wote wanasoma, wote wanakula, na maisha inaendelea. You know, like the people in Kenya, you know, like who make 10,000 Kenya shillings a month, which we are talking about, that's less than $90. It's less than $90. And a whole month inamsustain
Na hawana malnutrition.
na hana malnutrition. Ukiona watoto wana afya, wanacheza na nini. So a lot of the people who work in our homes, you know, like the housemaids, utakuta
They're under that 10.
yes, they're under 10.
They're really under that 10.
So
In fact,
utakuta-
some of them wanagonga tu 5 na
Yeah.
wanapewa 5 na wanaambiwa ndio hiyo.
Yes.
Tunakula hapa. Then you're like, hey,
Yeah,
things are different.
utakuta hata kama ule ambaye anata 8-9, maybe mume wake is maybe a security guard somewhere earning like maybe 13, 14, 15K. And they survive on that.
Correct.
And they're happy, they're healthy, na wengine wanaishi mpaka 90 years. And then kuna mtu ambaye kwamba ni tajiri, ana pesa nyingi, but they can't even eat solid foods. Anakula kuku kwa mrija. You know, because they can't, they're in a position where they cannot use their money to give them, you know, like basics that God gives us. So I think that's one other area where people have to look to be grateful. Now, to take another tangent, because time yetu ndo hiyo hapo pia muda unagonga. There's this issue, especially here for Africans in the diaspora, the goal of owning a home, because hii ni kitu moja ambayo kwamba imesisitizwa sana. You know, like not only in diaspora, but even back home.
Yes.
Is this something that needs to be reimagined, especially with the realities that we have today? Because, like personally, as a homeowner, I count myself as lucky. You know, I don't count myself as a genius that, oh, you know, people wanakuja na kuambia, oh yes, I knew the market was taking a corner, so I went and bought. No, me, I never knew that COVID was gonna come, you know, like a year after I bought my home. So I just consider myself lucky. But would I advise someone to get into a situation right now where you're buying a home like the one I have, where I'm paying a mortgage of less than $1,800, and then asking you to pay $3,500 a month for the same house,
And they still expect you to eat.
and that $3,500 you're paying it after you've put a down payment. So if it's the home is what, 600K, you put 100K.
Yeah.
in a down payment.
So
Would I advise you to do that right now?
20%, yeah.
My answer, now like speaking financially, and not
run for the hills.
That's one of the things, because now that your home ownership, we went through the other period where people got burned.
Yes.
That was before the 2008.
Yes.
That was
before the bubble.
Before the
08.
bubble. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am in the strong belief, I'm not one of those who plays prediction games.
I think we're heading towards another one.
But the place where we were right before we hit the bubble, there's certain economic metrics.
It's almost where we are now.
It's almost where we were. We actually maybe even in a worse place. The only thing that I think might be different with this one is that this bubble will be a slow bust, because people don't have toxic mortgages. The problem at that time, people had what you called toxic upside down mortgages.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
They put some checks and balances in place now.
Yes, to make sure
have allowed us.
Yeah, so most people who are in the homes can actually afford them. So we would have that crisis of a lot of people trying to dump their homes, because when a lot of people try to dump their homes, that's when the market crashes. And a home, I'll give an example, because easy to me, like being open with them. My home that I bought for 400,000 in 2019, there's a very unlucky person who bought that same home in 2006 for 460,000.
Yep.
Yes, that was right before. 460,000. Do you know how many years it took to get back to 460? During the pandemic is when it got back to 460, and it went beyond that. So for this person, if he was still there, it would have taken him like 17, 18 years to get back to the value he bought the home. So, and I think right now where we are today, as a homeowner, I see these prices going up. I'm supposed to be happy, but I'm not.
And you ask yourself, what type of income do you need to make, or what type of loan facilities are being given to allow you to get into a home that is priced at over $500,000?
So what's happening within the housing market, which maybe a lot of people don't know, is as the home prices started appreciating, and as there was signs that there was going to be a lot of appreciation, a lot of these corporate buyers, these are just corporate entities that would come and buy many homes, because the reason why they're buying them because they know these properties, speculation.
Yes.
These properties, it's 500K. We know within 2 years it's gonna be 700K, which is quite a good return. So they buy it and then they rent it. A lot of people who are renting from private equity and corporate entities. So they're keeping those homes, like getting some passive income from them through renting as they wait for that value to go up. What's now happening is that those entities that bought these homes are now starting to dump them. That's the reason why you're seeing markets like Florida, Arizona, and I can't remember which other market, which are seeing property values drop 30%. Those drops that we saw during the mortgage crisis back in 2007, 2008, that's happening in certain mini markets where like these corporate entities in certain neighborhoods with maybe would say 1,000 houses, they would come and buy up like 300 or 400 of them. So when they start dumping, imagine in a whole neighborhood of 1,000 houses, there's a corporate entity that's trying to dump about 400 houses. That's when you see these values dropping. And when values drop, everyone who's holding a property, they're also putting it in the market. So the amount of inventory is going up.
Just gonna say like Fab. We were Fabian Kevenji huyo when he bought his house like 1920, he bought it for like 100K.
Yes.
Rehabbed it himself. Actually hapo sasa ndio alianza hii mambo ya remodeling and home improvement. So that might be another option. You look for a house that is maybe it's dilapidated. If it's worth career, you get a loan. So it's sort of maybe 400, you get a house for 150, put in 50K. Faba atakuja kusaidia, and you have yourself a good home. Anyway, that's what I'm thinking.
Yes, I mean, and those are things, if you get into those business, you also have to know the dynamics that kuna kupata na kukosa. You could go.
Yes,
in anything. That's in anything.
Yes, you can go and make those, you can do all that remodeling, and then property values just drop. And now you're stuck with it. So you have to understand, there are people who are in that business who understand those dynamics. They know when to go in, they know when to come out. But yeah, ikitu ya home ownership, I think people need to start looking at it differently.
With a different lens.
With a different lens. There's a right time.
But I think also they need to start. We need to start teaching.
What do you mean by teaching?
Oh, I see what.
By teaching, like like financial literacy, right now.
IUL?
No, not IUL.
That's
Bandit. Now I'm talking about now, like how Washeka was talking about, making financial literacy like a mandatory course or whatever. But like with our kids, now you start implanting seeds of, home ownership, what to go about it, how to go about it, because we are learning through baptism and fire.
Now,
our to children, because I think that's what like YouTube people do. Yani. I think YouTube people wanna kwanga. They've had a head start for like 400-500 years.
Yeah, and
as we're now getting to learn the ropes.
They not only have a 500-year head start, but they also, throughout their history, they were taking away, from other people, be it free land from other people, free labor. So that is part of what has built their wealth to where it is today. But then when it comes to financial literacy, because nowadays there's a lot of characters out there who like cloak that they're teaching you financial literacy, but there's a product underneath they're trying to sell. I think what's more important from my personal experience, like teaching people, is one more important thing than even the classes and the lessons is habits. And habits, it takes a while to change a habit. Now, if you earn $70,000 a year, and you're eating $30 lunches every day, so think about it. You have 50 weeks in a year. You just do that calculation. 30 times 50, it gives you a total of times 5 is 150. And then 150 times 50.
Yeah.
That is $7,500. So you're spending more than 10% of your gross income
to feed your worms
on lunch. Yeah. 10% of your gross income.
This is just lunch, not breakfast.
This is just lunch. We're not talking about breakfast. We're not talking about the quick coffee run. I know people like making fun at but yeah. So how, how does that make sense? So it takes habits. Can you, this same coffee, that you really like from Starbucks or from Dunkin' Donuts, can you go online and find the recipe and make it for yourself?
Utapata brewer. There's no brewer that is 7,500. Utakuwa na brew from home.
Yes.
Tengeneza.
Yeah. I know.
Even if it's 7,500, kama utafanya for 3 years, but utakuwa
your $28 lunch or $30 lunch that you're buying, you can get it for $2 if you make it yourself at home. But so ndo nasema hii kitu, it takes more of habit, a lot of small things changing discipline here. The other thing about
Atomic Habits.
Atomic Habits, very good book. Another aspect that I think also is not, and people don't take it very kindly when I say this, is that most human beings, I will say over 90% of human beings, are average.
I must be on 10.
So yeah, so everybody, no, hakuna 10. So you're 5, you could either be in the top 5 or the bottom 5. The rest are average. By average, and average is not a bad thing.
I'll be average.
Average is not a bad thing. Average just means that if you're playing basketball, we're all not gonna make it to the NBA. There's 1% that will make it there. But it doesn't mean if you don't make it to the NBA, it doesn't mean that you are a pathetic basketball player. Maybe you made it to college. And even not many people make it to college. Kuna mwingine alimake high school team yake. If you make an American high school team, you are fairly decent in playing basketball. So, but I think there's this aura that people have that that one day I will be the greatest, which is not a bad way. of looking at things, but the problem is that when your entire life you're focusing on this one thing, and this one thing is making it to the NBA. So now what happens when you've missed out on so many other great things all these years because you are focused on this one primary goal? The reason I give this analogy is to say this. When it comes to finances, there's people always want these get rich quick overnight schemes. I will tell you right now, these things don't work. You know, like we historically have seen them, the pyramid schemes and all, they do not work. But people always believe, I'm the one who got the best deal. I am the one who got our ingine, you know, they don't know what they're missing out on. This always happens, wakiungua, you know, like when they think that they're going to become the next millionaires getting an ROI of 30% in a month, they will scream loud, but wakiungua, wanaenda kuungua pole pole huko. They don't want to go and caution other people, hey, unajuaje, you know, I got in there, I got burned, so don't go in there. So when it comes to finance, the people who follow the simple path, the path of the average, are the ones who end up becoming more wealthier than the ones who are constantly huku na huku, juu chini. Because when you start comparing yourself to a kid who came from a millionaire family and they've tried, tested 156 ideas and they failed and they failed and they failed. When you're comparing themselves, where by the time your second idea is failing, where you used your whole, all your life savings, now you're in a situation where you don't know what to tell your family because watoto lazima, you know, like they have to dress, they have to eat. So in your comparison, ati flani Zuckerberg alifanya hivi. Ati for 10 years, Zuckerberg did not make any money. Yet Zuckerberg, yes, was living in a basement eating noodles, but they were being funded by venture. You know, like, yeah, they were being funded by venture. So that's what I keep telling people, especially in finance. Those who, you know, like understand that once you start making those simple average moves at a very early stage, you're gonna be ahead of most people. There's a statistic which I don't know whether I want to share it or if it's gonna be one of those that will cause controversy. Now, here in this America, in this United States, where sometimes entrepreneurship is great, and for those who are successful, kudos. But I want you guys to make a quick guess. I always talk about the S&P 500 because the S&P 500 is one of the simplest, laziest ways to become wealthy, but it takes patience. You have to wait. You have to wait for some time, and you'll get there. So as we wrap up, I want you guys to make a guess, just a random guess, over a period of 30 years. 30 years is enough time to see the growth and the success of a business. Out of all entrepreneurs who start businesses within that 30-year period, what percentage
13
do you think will beat the performance of the S&P 500? Meaning, kama nikona, let's say like nikona laki moja leo, and then I put it in the S&P 500, na weba ndio kona laki moja, you put it in an entrepreneurship idea you have 30 years down, what is the likelihood that your equity, that's the profits plus the value of your business and everything that you've made, is higher than mimi ambaye nimekuwa nikiweka kwa S&P 500 na lala na pumzika naenda na sahau? Just make a guess. I'm going to start with you, Bandio. 9%. Okay. DJ Mosh Fire. 3%.
Come on,
Uno
that's so
Mike.
rude.
Uno Mike.
I want to say, let's say the average between 9 and 3, 12 divided by 2, 6.
6.
Wow.
So the actual number is 3 to 5%. And here's the reality. Yes, that's the actual number. It's 3 to 5% who will end up beating listening here. And this might be very shocking. So I think one of the big differences that we're gonna see within the next I wanna say like maybe 10, 15 years on who are the new millionaires or who are becoming millionaires is gonna be very different. For a long time it was entrepreneurs. And why was that? Very few people had access to the stock market. Even as recently as when us guys came here, nobody even knew, like what do I need to do to buy a stock or to nobody knew about. Very few people knew. There was a lot of barriers to entry. You had to have a lot of money. At some point, I think you had to have like 50,000 to get into this this index funds. Yeah, and there was a lot of fees involved. But now, because of that, because anybody can go in with as little as $100, there's gonna be a very different character to the new millionaires who are being minted. Because I think this change started around 2010 when the market started taking a corner. Because 2000 to 2010, the stocks were not doing very well, so it was kind of a lost decade. But after that, a lot of people started going in. So this is one of those things that I think like people need to seriously think about. Entrepreneurship is amazing. It is great. It solves a lot of problems that humans haven't, and especially if you're passionate about something, I think it is very important to pursue that option. But I think it's important for people to learn that entrepreneurship is not an easy path. When you buy a fund like the S&P 500 or VTSAX, you've essentially hired the top CEOs, the top operations managers to run your business, because essentially that's your business, and you've hired all these people. They're doing it on your behalf while you're asleep. Some comments are coming in here before we wrap up. Info Depot by IIB team. Jina.
It's okay. Hata sijui kwa nini umesoma jina, lakini ni sawa.
Okay, yeah. Inasema, how I wish our people understand this simple path to wealth idea. Yes, the simple path. There's actually a book by J.L. Collins called A Simple Path to Wealth. I think if a lot of you read it, you will be very shocked and very surprised at how simple it can be. And I think the thing that shocks the most people is the simplicity. People get shocked at how simple this can actually be, and that's the reason why sometimes people tend not to believe it. Hapa Facebook nilikuwa nimeona pia kuna some comments that I want to go through before we call it a wrap. I can see Emma saying it's possible. True that. Maybe we might give, do we give one last chance for someone to call 202-683-4570, press *5 to speak? But yeah, Bandio, let's get your last word before tumalize hapa.
Well, twende kwa OneMic. OneMic, wahenga walisema?
OneMic amelala.
Wahenga walinena kilicho na mwanzo hakina budi kuwa na mwisho. Meli imetia nanga. We are about to wrap this puppy up.
Now that you are in the studio. Almost fire.
Yani, he starts with me and he's a guy who's out of the studio.
Yeah, I know.
Lakini ni sawa. Asanteni.
Jagathi.
Yeah, I told you, see me after class. Na uko hapo nje ya staff room, kneeling down with your hands up, useless.
PTSD.
Yeah. Kwanza, that thing called chura hops, then you stay in that position at the end. You're like that, not chura hopping, but you're just there waiting outside staff room. Okay. So to all our fans, asanteni, thank you so much. It's very interesting to hear our people's take on this diaspora immigrant journey that we have been going through, that we continue to live through, and also very interesting to see what people are rating as a success. It's wow.
Yeah.
It's so wide. It's so, yeah. And with that said, I'd venture to say, people, enjoy your family, enjoy your friends, enjoy each other. Tomorrow is not promised. Just enjoy it in a manner that allows you to continue enjoying yourself. Don't go out there and kill yourself for other folks, for lack of a better word. The weather is still great. It's summertime. Go out there, kula vitamin D. See you guys next week. Asanteni.
Asante sana, DJ Mosh Fire. I want to thank all those who are tuned in. Fab Githinji. Fab, kwanza, you're one of those interesting personalities we have in our community.
Man.
I think we should bring Fab to the studio one of these fine days. Yeah, because 23 years. Yuko hapa Baltimore. Yeah. Yeah. Fab yuko hapa Baltimore. He does, like remodeling, one of the best. Kama uko na utaka kufanya upgrades nini. Yes.
Because I think that's a very good business.
Yes, and he's been in entrepreneurship for 23 years. That means there's certain things he understands about ins and outs.
The do's and don'ts.
Yes, experience will beat anything that you've read in books, that you've done here or there. That,
aje.
Yes, aje na sina marafiki zake, aje tu yeye mwenyewe. So Fab, like challenge hapo tumekupatia. We will find a week, because this monster called entrepreneurship, I think there's a lot of people who get into it, but there's very few people who succeed, and being there in 23 years is a mark of success. There was another stat that I was seeing that in America, I think it was a very low number. I think it was like only 20% of businesses make it to the 30-year mark. Is it 20% or 10%? I can't remember the number, but it's a very, very low number. So ukiwa umefika huko 23 years, that means there's clearly something that most of us do not know that might be valuable and beneficial to share. Na kwa hayo machache, yeyote ambaye anataka kunipigia simu, nambari yangu bado ni ile 1-800 mteule. Na operator akishika simu, mwambie unataka kusema na mjukuu, na akikuuliza ni mjukuu yupi, na mkumbusha ni mjukuu yule wa Masai. Because I'm Kenyan by blood, American by design, Masai by choice. Sichagui, sikagui, na sibagui. Kwaherini.
Una mic. Twende kazi, boss.
If your glass is empty with no water, how else are you able to be a blessing to somebody else and give them water? Fill your glass first. Aiden, Daddy loves you. Njeri, Daddy loves you. Nimo, Daddy loves you. Until next week, be blessed.
All right. Kwa wote mtusikiliza, thank you very much for tuning in. Uno, thank you for trusting me with this chair. I don't take this for granted. Actually, most people don't know. I've been doing this for 24 years, but every time I sit here before I whack these feathers up, nakuwa na butterflies. Not because I'm worried, it's just because I know how important it is what we're about to say. Somebody atakuwa saved, somebody atakuwa, educated, somebody atakuwa entertained, and all this stuff. So this is a sacred place for me. It's Kilimanjaro Studio. It's more than nasema ni rehab kwangu. Nikiwa stressed hapa nakuja everything. So kupata hii nafasi, thank you thank you for tuning in. Mika atakuwa hapa next week, the 25th. It's another day. Again, mimi sio mjukuu wa Masai, naitwa Mobelo Twino Mkama Sama Nikulinde Peter Bandio mwana ma Pauline baba Pauline. Kwenye reggae unaniita Ras Twin Ras ya Rasta, ni a real African soldier, na twin si ya mapacha, hata kama ndio nao wanaonifuata ni mapacha. Hadi wakati mwingine, jilinde ukiwalinda wengine. Bye bye.